not just no.
That was weird. I'm sorry about that. Apparently all those alarms I set up on my mobile devices all went off and anyways, so this is a beginner's guide on GDC. Hi.
Hey.
So
who's that? Hey,
let's go around and actually kind of introduce ourselves first. My name here is Taro Umiya. I'm here representing the indie company called Umiya Games. I'll be doing the moderating here. I've went to GDC once, so I'm not exactly the best person to talk about.
Yeah, you're fine. We're all
in general,
you go once you're a professional.
Yeah, of course. In general, I can talk about generic information such as what the setup is like and so forth, which I'll be doing very shortly. So let's go in this direction with Astra next.
Hi, my name is Astra. I'm just a guy.
Yeah.
No,
he's
you've
also a
been
great
to
artist.
GDC before. You've been an artist. You've been to GDC.
Yeah.
Plug your
I should.
website.
Oh yeah, that's right. I should mention I'm a programmer, so I'll be talking very programmer-related stuff.
I'm an artist.
Plug your website. Come on.
It's just my name.
All right. How do you spell it? A-S.
Brian, next.
All right. Well, he's apparently typing in Astra's website.
What is the last name?
I'm Brian Shirtliff. I'm a game designer at First Playable Productions, and I've been to GDC. If you count just the San Francisco one, I've been 6 times. I also used to go to the Austin one while that existed, or GDC Online for a while.
Still called GDC Next. I guess it's a shell
No,
of its former self.
I thought they actually it's done now completely.
Oh, really?
I'm not entirely sure about that, but either way, the reason I was going was for the writers and stuff,
Makes sense.
and they moved to San Francisco. But yeah, so total GDCs in general I've been to is 9, I think.
Damn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brian's the biggest expert, and
Yeah.
and the smallest stature of all of us.
But of the actual the GDC in San Francisco, which no one actually calls it the GDC, would 6 times. Every one since 2009.
Put up Astra's website. Put his up.
No, don't.
Alright, fine. So, I'm Terrence. I also artist. Went last year to GDC. I had some pretty awesome networking successes, I would say. I'm not going to talk too much about them on here, out of privacy for the people I met with and stuff. But yeah, it was pretty good time, and I made some really good connections and had a lot of fun. Yeah. So I'm an expert too. No.
So you'll share your secrets anyway.
I will. I'll show you the secrets of how I did it, just not necessarily with who.
So I'm going to quickly go over a few things in regards to the general idea of GDC. So what is GDC? It's basically short for Game Developers Conference. It is by and far the largest professional industry event for game developers around the world. It is a very professional
And if you
event.
didn't know that, you probably wouldn't be listening to this.
Right. You will not be going here to show off your game to the general public, which I know some people do that, especially if they recently got nominated for certain rewards, but it is not the place to go for getting that kind of public-related feedback. But anyways, it takes place in the Moscone Center. We assume it's called Moscone. We had a long discussion about this.
I think it's Moscone. Moscone Center.
It's
an ice cream place.
It goes on in the Moscone Center in San Francisco, California, USA. Gotta have USA in there. And it starts from March 2nd through March 6th.
This year.
Moscone Center.
Incidentally, I forgot to mention that for me, I am going to GDC this year as a CA, so you might actually see me wearing that bright yellow T-shirt.
Is yellow this year?
Yes, this time yellow.
Neat. It was yellow.
It was orange, I think.
Orange.
They changed the color every year.
limey.
Every year it's a different color.
It's like a slightly different shade. I was last year. I was IGDA volunteer, which is really important. We'll talk about that later.
Mm-hmm.
And this year I'm doing all the video work for the scholars, which is going to be a blast.
Right.
And a lot of work.
And you're just...
I just go as a professional.
As
So
an attendee.
yep, as a real attendee.
I go as an artist as well. I go as many things. I go as a person on vacation to San Francisco too.
Oh yeah, I do that.
'Cause that's nice.
So what to expect in GDC? There's a lot of things going on in GDC at once, as you would expect from the largest conference. The big ones are the talks from speakers, lessons on game designs or tools. This usually happens during the Monday and Tuesday, the first 2 days, and then the expo happens after that. There's open table discussions. Those I actually think are pretty good to check out. There's an Indie Mega Booth Expo. If you've ever went to Indie Mega Booth Expos at PAX East and so forth, it's very similar to that. There's a very unique area called the Wild Rumpus Indie area. I believe every hour they have some indie speaker talking there. It's a very relaxed location. There's a lot of bean bags, and you can kind of play very few, oddly enough, indie games over there, and kind of socialize and talk. There's the gigantic expo of game studios, publishers, services, and groups. It's so big, in fact, that arguably they're divided into 2 parts. I say arguably because technically one side is called Expo and the other side is the Career Building Center. But you might as well call both of them Expos because they're freaking gigantic. And both of them are kind of like showing off what game studios do.
You can also get swags. So.
Yeah, you can get a lot of swag. What else is there?
People go to GDC for swag?
Some people do.
No,
That's what you go to PAX for. It's
a very expensive place to get swag.
Yeah, I mean, the swag is the $25 GDC
I think
badge.
some years ago, a couple of friends of mine got OnLive consoles, I believe. So
I think for whatever reason, if you went to the Nintendo talk, I'm thinking E3. Never mind. Never mind.
There happen like give outs during some of the specific talks where I've known people who have gotten hardware, but
don't.
Yeah,
I would not bet on it. The other stuff to expect in GDC. There's actually more talks outside. We'll talk about that later. If you schedule it ahead of time, you can also talk to publishers and press contacts. If you're probably listening to this, chances are kind of good that you haven't booked it, and all the booking process has probably been already taken care of. But as mentioned earlier, these are stuff that you actually want to schedule before you go to that actual event. There's a game show, just for have funs and giggles. There's a museum, also very tiny.
Is it a
and
museum?
midnight party.
Yeah,
there's a
little
midnight
mini museum.
Mm-hmm.
That's a GDC
You can
like specific museum?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's on like
you can play
West
a lot of
usually,
virtual games too.
But what is it like? Is it games museum? It's a game
It is a
little
game
tiny
museum.
games museum. Yeah,
That's neat.
With
That's
consoles and hardware.
Yep.
You
Oh,
can
that's
actually
cute.
see.
That's great.
You can actually kind of see the history of how game continues.
That's
to grow.
fun. I didn't know that.
Yep.
I'm learning stuff. I thought I was a professional.
The Moscone Center layout goes as follows. There's 3 buildings. There's the North Building, which is, I think, the largest of the 3.
Is that the main
That's where the ticketing goes. if
right?
I search
Yeah,
for
where
it.
the IGDA booth was last year.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like it's right
Wait,
there on
was
Howard
it?
Street. Yeah, I think so.
I thought it was the South Building. that
Well,
actually-
South and
Oh,
North
you're
are
right. The South Building for
same.
everything. All right, I'm sorry. It's
The North Building is
second
where the
one.
ticketing is. There's a career center there. At least that was the
Yeah,
case
no, you're
last
right,
year.
you're right.
The career center was there. There's a little museum and a game show talk. Just to let you know, the North Building is, I believe, 3-4 floors tall. So the 3rd floor up there, which is I forgot to write this down. That's where the talks are going. Whereas the museum and the game show is on the basement floor, and the regular floor, which I believe is the 2nd floor for whatever reason, is where the ticketing happens.
Yes.
The South Building, the IGDA booth is also again on the 2nd floor. The expo is on the basement floor. The game design lessons are going on actually at the same floor, right? It's not like a 3rd floor or anything like that. I believe the South Building itself only has 2 floors. And a few more talks, like open tables and so forth, are going on there. It's also worth noting that I believe the majority of the talks and the open tables are going in between this little hallway that's underground that connects the North Building and the South Building. So most of the time, if you're there for checking out what the talks are there, that's probably the location you're going to be. Either that or the West Building, where the award ceremony, the Wild Rumpus, and the Indie Beggar booths are. It's by and far the smallest building, but it's also where I believe most talks are prevalent at, and that's like multi-floored. I believe there's like 4 floors
3.
in there.
Are you talking about the one that's down the street?
West. Yeah, West.
Yeah, that's where
It's the one that's like completely just.
It's all talks. Yeah, it's all like that's all it is. It's halls.
Fun fact: last year there was a marriage going on at the top floor. So
I
it's
met
pretty cool.
her. I interviewed her.
Yeah.
She's awesome. It was really cool.
So let's get started on the actual questions. I'm going to be asking these questions round. These set of categories of questions will be about preparing for GDC. So what kind of wear should you wear when you're going through the GDC?
What to wear?
What to
well,
wear.
definitely, I'm always partial to Armani. And
Don't listen to
no,
Terrence.
I mean, broadly
be comfortable. Be comfortable.
broadly
be comfortable.
speaking,
You're
just-
gonna be comfortable and professional. That's all.
Mhm.
You're gonna be around a lot of people and you're gonna be sweating because it's hot out. Because it's San Francisco and it's beautiful. If you're not from San Francisco, rather, it'll be hot out too.
Mhm.
But that said, I have also known people to make the mistake if you're from like a colder region. I mean, we're
To not bring a coat.
Yeah,
No, you definitely do. It gets cold.
It's California, but it still gets cold at night, so you will be very uncomfortable if you don't bring a jacket.
Bring a jacket, but I like jackets, so it's fine.
Now
And
we're
yeah.
talking from upstate New York, and
Oh, it's gonna be beautiful. I don't care. I'm wearing shorts.
right now it has
3
snowed
degrees
up
out.
to our
Yeah.
knees.
Yeah.
So
That
this
makes
place
sense.
is absolutely absurd in comparison to San Francisco's considerably much more chilly weather.
So
It's like
much nicer.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
God.
it's a
I
little-
love it. It's like fall or in spring, like year round there. It's beautiful.
And then
one of the more
yeah.
one of the more
Finish your
critical
thought.
advice that almost everyone unanimously mentions is wear comfortable shoes.
Comfortable
with
shoes.
the very, very sole exception of if you're having some business talk in which, yes, you want to dress nicely. But if you don't
Business
have like
shoes.
any sort of business related talks like publishing or press contact related, I don't think you even need it for press contact related stuff. But if you're specifically publishing related stuff and so forth, you definitely want at least one set of really nice business related set of clothes. But honestly speaking, that's
Depends on what you do.
Yeah, depending on what you
honestly
do, yeah.
speaking, that's the only case.
If you're
I
just,
can think
your average developer and you don't really need to go talk to the suits in any in any way,
Just be, we're button
like
down.
like
If you're a boy,
typical
we're-
game
we're
developer
lightweight.
clothes is
We're-
like jeans and t-shirt type of thing. You should not wear anything that's like going to offend
Offensive.
people because this is where you're trying to meet contacts for work and stuff. So dress appropriately within the realm of jeans and t-shirt. You should also look clean.
Yeah. definitely
So be nice jeans and t-shirt.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Nick Fortuno, my professor at Parsons, because he wears business suit at GDC.
I like wearing
He
a suit.
looks-
I actually do wear a suit a lot, just in general. That's just me. I like to wear suits, not like all the time, but I will wear them to some of the parties and stuff, just to look sharp. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks,
especially in
mega
Norwich,
professional,
you
yeah.
stand out.
Yep.
Yeah. That's just me though. I like to dress fancy
But-
for no reason.
But obviously, context-wise, it's a normal fine.
Yeah.
It's not normal. It's a very summery-ish weather.
Yeah.
By summery, from a perspective of
of 3 degrees, right?
Right.
So
I don't know. I'm still cold even there, so whatever.
Yeah.
I'm cold everywhere.
Well, it's on the water. It gets chilly at night. It definitely. It's like
You
you're
will
in
be
the bay.
standing and
So-
walking a lot.
Yeah.
I can't
Yep.
emphasize this enough.
Yep.
So comfortable.
GDC, you will be standing and walking a lot. That is a good. So dress appropriately for that.
I would not dress too outlandishly, but dressing nice.
Oh no! If I wore a suit, I wouldn't wear it all day. That would be absurd.
suit,
No,
that
I'd
kind of stuff
I'd
is-
boil and
Totally okay. I don't think you'll look too out of place in doing that. Obviously, anything obscene or any sort of offensive wear, they're gonna book you.
if you want to
right
wear a
out.
nice feel free. Just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Wear whatever you want. Like
There's one way to make an
wear whatever
impression.
makes you comfortable.
I guess one of the guys, I forgot who he is. He always wears a stack of hats, and that's how he get recognized. I think you should be able to know. I think you know that person. I think you've seen him. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's easily.
There's a bunch of people I know who have like some sort of memorable clothing item that they wear. Like
Right.
Ernest Adams often wears like a top hat, stuff like that. So some people have their like memorable gimmick clothing item that they have to be recognizable at GDC.
Because that's you'd have to go for a few years for that. The beginners aren't going to have one.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you should start now.
Just start, yes.
So then that makes sense.
Next question: should you bring your business cards?
No.
Terrence, are you going to answer ironically to every one of these questions? Yes,
I
you
am
should bring
going to.
business cards. So as part of preparation, yes, you should
I'm
have
sorry, that
business
is-
cards,
that is
and then you should bring them.
Yeah.
I mean, generally speaking, when it comes to the format of business cards, like, what is your guys' opinion on making a blank side or having one side always blank?
I have a couple. Okay, so I'm an artist.
Right.
I make flashy cards. I make really nice fancy cards. If you're an artist, you should do that always. Everyone tells me I should have another blank side on the other side. I don't. I don't care. I'm weird. I cover both sides with as much artwork as I can. And that way, it's just, if someone's not going to remember me, then I don't know, then I'm doing my job wrong, I suppose. And if the artwork should speak for itself. Even if they don't remember me, if they see the artwork still when they go home, they should, if they like it, they should go to my website, and see more, really,
This is probably bad influence on my part as well, but my opinion is that I want my business cards to stand out so they remember.
So they do remember, right? Exactly. You shouldn't have to write
I glaze my cards, and it makes it practically impossible to write on them.
Yeah, mine are not write onable.
Yeah.
No room.
So I have the nice LED front on mine, but like the back is not, and also plain white, so people can still write on the back.
I see.
But yeah.
I think
there's lots of things you can do to make memorable business cards without having to do anything messing with the back. So
that's true. I think I just like both sides. I don't know, because here's my thing for it. My real reason actually is because I saw so many business cards at so many conferences. This is only my second GDC, but I've been to many conferences before. I see so many business cards on the floor upside down. People drop them. People lose them. Mm-hmm. They're upside down, and I don't see it. I pick them up because I'm like weird like that, and I'm only gonna say, oh, who dropped a business card? Oh, that's cool. But most people don't, and they're just they're gonna walk by it. But if you see something cool, like no matter what side you drop it on, again, this is from an artist standpoint. So like if you're a programmer, you don't really need to cover both sides and stuff and that'd probably be silly to do that. But like I want people to see my work, so I don't ever want the chance of my business card being upside down. There's no such thing as upside down with my cards. They're always facing up, if that makes sense.
But yeah. Astro, do you have anything to
my opinion is to have white space and be writable.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah.
So you can have
kind of half and half.
Yeah. I'm a very back of the card note taker obsessive person with that, and so at least Terrence's card when we were all going over his business card earlier just before we were there is white space to write around his picture on the back, so that's fine for me as long as I have some space to at least jot a little bit of notes of what this person looked like and that sort of thing.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
I do know one artist who made this incredibly fancy back that says note taking.
Yeah, I've seen that. I saw that. That was really fun. I actually seen that. I might do that for my other cards. I'm still getting more. That's another thing about preparation. Do your business cards well in advance. Not 3 days before you leave town.
Yes.
Which is
it's really
if you
stressful.
haven't printed your business cards right now,
get on
I don't know what to tell you.
Stop listening and go do that. And then come back and watch this later.
Might be too late. I don't know.
Yeah.
Next question: should you bring your resume?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, bring
at least one person's always going to be contrary. Yes, bring a resume.
Yeah, I mean that's obvious. Yeah, bring a resume.
However, that's it. I suppose there's the caveat of don't be running around everywhere showing it to people. Most people won't be in a position to hire you or anything, and they won't care. But have it on you, so if anyone does ask or there is an opportunity, you can pull it up. But don't be that guy.
Honestly, most companies, are going to ask you to upload it, email it,
right?
All that sort of stuff.
It is good to have. I had a company last year to actually.
But that's if you're going to the companies.
Right.
If you're just running around, talking to people, or whatever.
Chances are very.
I don't even go to the expos usually. So.
Well,
I don't actually bring a resume personally, but I'm not looking for a job right now.
Asked me for a physical copy of my resume because they were having them all on file there. So I went. They were a booth. Again, you're never gonna need to give your resume to a person you just meet at GDC. That's silly. And so you just have them. I just had them at my friend's house where I was staying. And so, I went at some point. I came back the next day to the booth because the booth was obviously still there. I just brought it back the next day because I told them, I got one back at my friend's house. I'll bring it tomorrow. And they said, sure. And that was it. So just have them with you, or even have it so you can email it to Kinko's and print it out. There's a Kinko's in San Francisco.
Yes.
You don't even need to.
I did that.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even need it with you. Just have it available to give to someone in paper if you need to. Again, you're never going to ever have to give a resume to a person. Just there's no I'm trying to imagine a scenario where there's hey kid, you got your resume on it? No, you're not hired. So it's just silly. It's it's not going to happen.
I have had one Rockstar employee ask for it during
right then and there.
Yeah, right there during the train ride.
During what?
During a train ride all the way back to the San Francisco International.
Really?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So. For emergency scenarios, it's always good to have one. Yeah. But just to let you know, that was the only time I was asked for it.
Yeah, and you probably had it on you because you had all your stuff with you.
I did have them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If you are going to print them out, I would only print out
I
at
printed like
most
10.
10
Yeah,
copies.
that's what I did, yeah.
There's no reason to like send it out as if they're flyers because almost nobody's going to pay attention.
No one's
to
going to
it.
care. They'll actually probably be annoyed by you and tell you to clean it up and throw it away before you litter all over San Francisco.
Dream Logician, which is basically Jamie,
It
is
is
suggesting that sometimes it's better to have resumes handy to give out right away at booths.
Oh yeah, no, bring one. That was a mistake of mine. Sorry to interrupt.
I see. Yeah.
No, that was my. I was there. I actually did. There was a whole 2 days I was at the expo, which I had a folder with my resume and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not bring it to that. For some, I don't know why I ended up there. I was hanging around with somebody and walked down there, and I was walking by a company that looked cool. I said hi. That just just talking to somebody, and so it just happened. I didn't have it, but it was still fine. Again, like we still talked because I brought it back the next day. But yeah, as far as what Jamie's saying, yeah, if you're going down to the expo where the companies are, bring your folder full of your resumes, absolutely, and drop them off with whoever wants them. That's the easy way to do it.
It's obviously dependent on what your intent is. If you're like for example, like me, where you're going there to see who you can contact with and that kind of stuff, then there's no real good reason to bring a resume. If you're actually looking for a job, that's when it starts becoming relevant.
Yeah, and also, I basically don't staple them to your business cards and give them out to everyone. That would be really. Also, just as a resume advice, keep it to one page. If that's not obvious, keep it to one page. Always. That's just resume advice outside of GDC in general, but especially anything like that, do not give them like a booklet. They won't. They'll throw it away.
Faces book.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So next question, how about portfolio? This is more applicable to artists and game designers, if memory serves correctly.
Yes, and I also have an interesting sort of thing this year I'm doing because last year I printed mine out. I did really good with it. I spent a lot of money getting really nice paper and a really nice portfolio, like a nice printed one. And it was actually really nice. It looked really, really good, and I got a lot of compliments on it. However, that being said, we work in a digital medium. There is absolutely no time, unless you're making board game box art, which is fair. But generally, there's no ever time that these things will be ever printed out. Game art, if you're an artist, you're going to be doing stuff, on digital screens. So get a tablet. And I hate to say this because it's really prohibitive to a lot of people, expense-wise, but I just got a really, really cheap but really nice screen tablet, like a small 8-inch one, but big enough to show my work in a really nice way. And I think that's if you're going to be going around to jobs and stuff, that everybody last year, I was the only person with a print portfolio, like literally.
I did both.
Yeah, both is good. I'm going to bring my one from last year. I think that's the thing. It's not all up to date, because whatever. But I think my digital stuff speaks for itself, and it's like it is good to have both, and that's why I'm going to bring the other one.
Yeah.
But
if you don't mind me interjecting a little bit,
please.
I think most artists already knows what their portfolio is supposed to look like. But since I'm a programmer, what are the contents of the portfolio that you usually have?
As an artist?
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be specific on what you want to do. I mean, this is more portfolio advice more than just GDC in general. I mean, if you're trying to get a job doing user interface or UX design, then have a portfolio full of that. If you're doing concept art or 2D like asset art, have a portfolio for that. I kind of want to do everything, so I kind of have everything. So I'm actually not the best advice for this, but kind of like whenever I've gotten feedback from anybody, a lot of times what I do is I will focus specifically. Like I have all my stuff in my website, and this is how I organize it in my print portfolio too, by kind of like sections of like what they are, and so I was just able to like kind of cater my presentation to like whoever I was talking to, based on like, check out this stuff. You'll be interested in this stuff because this is what you guys do at this job or whatever. And so look at these pages or whatever. And that's kind of it as far as that goes. As far as a program though, what do you bring? I don't even know what that kind of portfolio would look like.
Code samples?
Yeah, I mean, well, do you bring a game? Like, you bring games, right? You show them
programmers generally bring portfolios.
Interesting.
Their resume is their portfolio.
Right, I see.
And the list of projects that you've worked on is the most important part.
Gotcha.
For the majority of the companies that you work at, they're going to have you sign an NDA. So any source code that you write, you're not allowed to share.
Yep.
Right, that makes sense.
So generally speaking, they ask you on how much experience you have, what kind of projects you went to, and so forth.
Gotcha.
I did, just in case, since I'm technically now an indie developer, a full-time indie developer, make a bunch of gameplay videos.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think that's
and
huge.
stuffed it into an iPad using VLC.
Yeah.
All of those iOS native stuff. And And
I can't say
quick
that.
Quick plug.
I love
VLC actually makes it very easy to upload stuff by upload stuff into your iPad by using Wi-Fi. So you actually don't even have to use iTunes.
You tell me how to do this at some point.
Yeah, it's pretty freaking awesome.
I was gonna say too. I think that's a huge thing. If even as an artist, if you've worked on games, if you've done game jams, if you've done anything, have videos.
Yeah.
On you like on your in your tablet of or whatever you're showing, of the stuff you've done. If they ask, it's really good to just show finished pieces, not just finished like artwork pieces, but finished things that have that shows you can work on a team, that shows you have you've finished projects with people, and like that's a really good thing too. Also, Esther, you were going to say something else about portfolio. I'm going to cut you off.
I don't remember that anymore.
You were talking about what to put in and how to organize it.
Oh, right. There's actually a talk about our portfolio at GDC. I believe it is open to expo and everything else. So you could go to that.
Yeah.
You could go to that, and people will be talking about what they want out of the portfolio for artists. Mm-hmm. They hand out like a list of usually what to expect when you're going for concept artists, or when you're going for UI, or when you're going for 3D modeling, things like that. There's that.
Okay.
Brian, is there anything you want to add on portfolios for game designers? Have you made one in a while, by the way?
Not in a while, no. But yeah, they're usually either, I either see sort of what you were saying you did with your indie game stuff now of like videos of gameplay, or the other thing is you can just have, on a website, the games for download, like any games you've made. Obviously, anything you've done at an actual studio is covered by an NDA and you can't do that, but...
So game design documents is probably not something you want.
No, don't bother showing people game design documents. Yeah, no one wants to read your game design documents.
And as far as just like somebody, I actually heard this from a GDC Vault years ago, or 3 years ago or so, before I ever went. It's probably the best advice ever for any kind of portfolio, for getting a job anywhere, anything. Which is as far as artists go at least, which it's going to hurt to hear for some people. But what he said was, somebody asked at the end of the whole talk, somebody asked an artist, I forget what company, but big, one of the big AAA companies, and somebody asked him, what should, like, should I try a quality, whatever, something about quality, and like, what should I have in my portfolio, basically, that question. And he said, I'm just going to give it to you right here. Here's it is. He said, go look at our stuff. Whatever company it is you want to work at, go look at their stuff, and don't tell me you can't, because there's art books and there's websites, and we have just go look at it.
There's no reason.
Go look at it, and if your stuff is not at that quality or close or above, like around there, like you gotta be in the ballpark. If it's not, and you know it, and you feel like that, then that's what we need. Like, we're not gonna hire people like that just aren't. That just try your best to make stuff like what we make. And basically, he just said, obviously, don't copy what they're doing exactly. That'd be stupid. But look at the style, look at this, like what they're doing, look at the kind of games they make, and make that.
Mm-hmm. That's a good benchmark.
Because they're just like, that's the thing. Like we love new artists. They were saying, but we have artists. Like, we have professionals who look at their work. If you can't match that style or that quality, keep trying.
At least the quality.
Right.
You have to match the style.
No, right. The quality, and that's hard to hear for a lot of people. And it was hard for me to hear, kind of at the time. But it gave me something to shoot for. It was like, when do I know if I'm ready? When do I know? Well, look at their stuff. If your stuff could be in the art book with them next to it, and nobody would know, that's good. it's where you want to be. But that takes forever. But it was a really cool thing to say.
It takes forever.
It does. It takes a lifetime. But
this is a completely random question. When it comes to like asking questions on at the, let's say, career building center or that kind of stuff, do you think it's a good idea to ask questions on what their expectations are, what styles that they have?
Yes, I think it's a good question. I think it's a great question to also ask. Ask things about like what they're like. If you have to relocate, like ask what their relocation stuff is.
Yeah.
Talk about like what like. Talk about other stuff, because they like to hear this too. That lets them know you're actually thinking about doing stuff. Ask them about like what are some other things to do in town, like whatever town they're from, like whatever, and just like say like what kind of city is it? Like what is it? If you're, it's just like it's interesting because it's not game related, which is sometimes a relief for a lot of these people, because that's all they talk about constantly. And other times it's also just to show that like you've been thinking about actually going there, and not just like. It just shows in the level of investment that's not, you're not just interested in like, oh, it's a fancy company, I want to work here. It's like you're actually thinking about like, I'm gonna have to change my life to move here or wherever it is, Especially, well, again, if you're from out of town.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm going to move on to the next topic here now that we are past the preparations. What can you expect at the location at this book at GDC? So here's a more granular question of that. What kind of talks are there? I can make a few comments about
everything.
Let's see if you guys have any comments on that regards.
I mean, so first of all, there's just the general kind of talks there. There's the lectures, there's panels, and roundtables. So lectures are kind of just one person speaking about something.
Slideshow.
Yeah, have a slideshow, that sort of thing. Roundtables are, like sort of group discussions where, there's just a whole group of people having a discussion about X topic, and so you all just discuss the topic. Panels are sort of halfway in between, where it's a whole group of people up on stage talking about a topic, but you as a person coming don't get to really interject besides the Q&A portion at the end.
There's also the rants.
Oh, yeah, there's also the rants, but those are kind of in the panel style, sort of. Yeah. There's micro talks as well, I suppose, is another thing.
Mm-hmm. Then there's
there's those stand-up presentations where they do outside the West Building.
True.
Outside most of the talks in the West Building. There's the secret levels.
Lost
levels, excuse me.
Secret levels.
Same idea.
They should rename it your secret level.
No, Lost Levels is
Anyways, there's Lost Levels outside where they do a lot of awesome talks there.
Classic game reference, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. No, well, Lost Levels is actually really important to talk about because GDC is extremely, extremely, extremely expensive and extremely prohibitive for a lot of people to get to. And it's also just, like, the content there is very... A lot of times it's good, but a lot of times it is definitely filtered and curated by who knows who, and so it's like really really good. Lost Levels is really important because there's a lot of actual like independent developers and just people who want actual who basically aren't there guaranteed for the money, if that makes sense, because it's free and it's outside and it's actually not part of the GDC proper, but it is actually really important. To go to. It's awesome. It's really great to that's a really great place to network too, because there's a lot of really smart people doing really awesome stuff, and it's a lot of actually industry people too who don't want to actually go through the whole thing with GDC because it's a very bureaucratic. They're for profit. GDC is awesome, but it is for profit. So they kind of do whatever they want. So it's Lost Levels is actually really cool. It's basically the indie version of GDC at GDC,
right?
Which is really awesome.
We should probably also talk about very quickly the topics that.
Oh, just like the tracks overall, sort of, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of the general overlay of that. So I know,
tracks,
for example, there are postmortems, there are soapboxes, as you mentioned earlier. There are occasional technical talks. If you're like a programmer and you're expecting some sort of like SIGGRAPH-ish kind of thing about how they talk about how they made some sort of graphics and that kind of stuff.
They'll do that for design as well.
I'm not sure if I haven't seen any of those. Maybe it's just me.
There are also some kind of show and tell art stuff.
Yeah,
like what was it? There was a Deus Ex Human Revolution art director who talked about how they come up with the concept art and things like that.
That's pretty cool. I'd like to go to that.
Yeah.
That
was long ago.
Whatever.
So there's a lot of like just discussions about the craft of game development. So as I was getting to with the tracks, basically for every sort of main core discipline of game development, design, programming, art, audio, there's usually like whole tracks of like talks
design
going all the week long about that. Some of the things have summits as well, which are the earlier days of the GDC.
I just remembered something. There's sometimes there's sponsored talks, which is pretty much advertising product.
Kind of, yeah. Oh,
sometimes,
expect dilemmas.
There'll
be two talks
on
at the same time.
Yeah, conflicts of time. Yeah.
Yes.
There'll be two talks you really want to go to all the time.
Yep.
It happens. It's like they do it on purpose. No, it's not really, but yeah, it's gonna happen. So pick your battles and pick which one you really want to go to, and just go.
There was a question here that asks, are talks that you can go to, can you go to talks with just an expo hall
Depends.
Yes, depends. There's some that you can.
Yep.
So
Lost Levels, obviously.
yeah, well, the
Lost
Lost Levels, because that's not officially GDC, but
yeah.
yes, you can totally go see Lost Levels with an expo pass. You can
Without
see the
an
sponsored sessions, which, you know, those are kind of just glorified ads for things. So I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend them. But now there's the diversity track as well, which that's open to anyone.
There's a few other talks in the expo thing. There's a couple other. It depends.
Yeah.
It depends.
They generally have a list somewhere that says like what you can go see with an expo pass.
Yep. Get the guidebook.
Yeah.
Few other things in regards to talks. So I believe the GDC mobile app, and for that matter, the GDC website, actually gives you a nice web interface to be able to schedule your which talks you want to go to. Use it. But my preferred method is just mark all the talks that are really interesting to you first. And then once everything has been accumulated, check out what it says on your My Agenda list, and then prune out all the ones that conflicts with other stuff, and prioritize them whichever one you like to.
Do you want to know my method?
Those schedules are by and far like an absolute godsend in regards to being able to figure out where you need to go next and so forth. Yeah, Terrence, go ahead.
My method?
Yeah.
Wing it. I wake up each day, I have no idea what talks I'm going to go to, and I see if there's something on the list that day I have time for, because I'm also super busy.
I'm halfway in between those two. So like I know a lot of people are very obsessively, like creating their schedule before they get to GDC. For me, it's like my ritual that first Monday morning. While I will get my guidebook, then it's the first time I actually take a look at what all the talks are, and I just sit there and go through and try to plan my week. That morning while I'm there with people at GDC, getting breakfast.
Oh, that's right. I forgot everyone. This year, Lost Levels is indoors. They actually got a real location now.
Oh, nice.
It's
really?
like a couple blocks. Yeah, it's a couple blocks away.
Oh, that's right. I didn't here.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I just went on the website. I'm going to share this on the Twitch here.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's really. I forgot about that. They have an actual place officially thing now, and it's free still. But yeah, that's cool. So good to know. I don't know how far it is, but it's a block or two away or something from. So it's right there. So yeah, that's shared. Cool.
But to some degree, you will probably need to wing it a little bit on your schedule anyway because of the conflicts. And I mean, one thing you can always do as well is sometimes I'll, in the event that there is conflicts of oh man, these are two talks I really want to go see. I don't know which one I'll go see. I'll pick one. And yeah, there's the vault first of all, so you can see if you have access to the vault, you can watch it later. But
if you have an all access pass, you definitely have access to the vault.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the other thing I will do sometimes is I'll start going to a talk, and if I'm not feeling it, if I'm immediately like, oh, this talk isn't what I thought it was going to be, just feel free to leave and go to the other one.
Oh yeah, it's not like a classroom at all.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
You can just walk out, and I remember
it's not rude.
One talk where it was just two old guys talking, and once I figured that out within the first 10 minutes, I'm like, nope.
Hey, sometimes two old guys talking at GDC are really good talks.
True. I completely agree with that. This was not one of them. This was about trying to predict the future of mobile.
That actually sounds interesting. But
it wasn't even mobile games. It was just mobile in general. And at that point, I'm like,
it's kind of interesting, actually. But I feel like there's so many more people better adept at talking about that than those two guys. I didn't even know who they are. Anyways,
let's see. There's always a Q&A at least a grand majority of talks I went to.
I just show up for those and start asking those questions now.
I am usually in favor of asking questions. It's by and far the most interesting part of the talk.
Please have a good question to ask, though.
Yeah,
I remember I saw a talk that had a panel with Tim Schafer in it, among other people. And literally every single question anyone asked was just, "Hi, Tim Schafer, I like your game." I'm just like, oh, it was painful.
Yeah, please
don't. No one asked an actual question.
Don't waste people's time.
Yes.
Yeah, that is rude. Leaving the talk is fine, but asking, yeah.
One last thing is that almost the grand majority of talks will actually let you talk to the speaker themselves at the very end, right after the Q&A. Normally, it's not very long. Is it? How many minutes?
You get depends what they're doing. A lot of times they're busy and hungry and want to go lunch.
Yep.
And also, I mean, the venue will have to kick you out of that particular room.
Yep.
After a while, anyway, if there's another talk after it.
You will see these people all week.
This is me, by the way. All basically GDC CAs are the responsible.
No, I was going to say no. I mean, you'll see the person who's doing the talk. You'll see him again. You will just walking around. The place isn't that big, and if you do that, if you don't get a chance to talk with them during in line or whatever, that at their talk right away. Just you might see them the next day, and if you see them, just say hey. Don't don't obviously tackle anyone or touch them without permission, but kind of say hey I'm sorry, I lost me. Oh yeah, be like hey, I saw your talk. It was really great. Here's my card. Whatever.
And know that if you're going to try to talk to them after one of their talks, so is everyone else. So there's going to be a really long line to do it, and your conversation with them is going to have to be brief. So yeah, it's not even that great of an opportunity to talk to someone. I mean, it's a place you're guaranteed to know they're there. So I won't say don't do it if you have a really good reason to, but for the most part, it's not a really good time to actually talk to anyone.
Also, speaking of expectations, if you know that you want to go to a really, say, like a game developer that is really well known, expect long lines.
Yeah.
You might not even be able to get in.
Right.
What else is there in the expo besides talks? So we discussed lessons, for example. One of them that I went to was a game design lesson where they kind of walk you through a board game. That was really interesting, and it talked about the kind of like the very simple, fundamental aspect of game design. What is the job of a game designer, and why?
You specifically mean the expo halls, or did you mean the conference in general?
You know what? You're right.
I was going to say there's not lessons in the expo.
My bad. The expo is the location where there's a lot of booths of big major publishers and game studios and game services and so forth. So yeah, we should definitely talk about that. My bad.
But yes, at the conference itself, I briefly had mentioned the tutorials and summits before. So in the first 2 days before main GDC begins, they have 2 days for summits and big, huge day-long tutorials that are more in-depth, workshops on how to do specific things in the craft of game development. So and then the summits are more like very specific mini conferences about just a topic. So I always go to the Game Writers Summit.
Yeah.
I went
to the dinner.
You hung out with people afterwards.
I went to the writers. That's another thing too. There's all these things that aren't even parties. We'll get to that, I guess. Never mind. I'm just trying to think of like things like if you miss a talk, there's ways to not miss it like completely.
So the summit is completely new, but in regards to the lessons, I'm a little prone to not recommend them as much. Definitely go to them at least once. But after that, I feel like you kind of seen them all. Am I wrong in that?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever actually done any of the workshops. I know earlier I was told, because I know the guy who runs the writing workshop, he was just like, if you're actually a writer, it's not really designed for you. Right. It's designed for people who are other developers to, learn the basics of running. So he basically told me, don't bother coming to my thing. But yeah, so I've never actually gone to any of the workshops. I've gone to summits, but not the workshops.
I guess your mileage may vary, because if you're interested in something and you have not learned it, might as well go, because you're there.
Yeah.
So apologies for sidetracking in regards to summits and lessons and so forth. We should be talking about the expo now that we're on that slide.
Sure.
What is there in the expo? Well, there's all kinds of companies. There's all kinds of cool new stuff and games. There's
and again, they're split up into two things. So one has a whole bunch of, one's the more like the career pavilion where you go to all the different booths for the companies to get a job.
I think that's where the Out Control location is as well, right? There's a lot of indie games and so forth.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's right. And then there's
Out Control, just to let you guys know, is an alternative control. It's sort of all sorts of games that use bizarre controllers. Sorry,
yes,
I cut you off.
That's really cool.
And then there's another different expo that has all sorts of various just companies that kind of market to game development companies, so crazy hardware and software, middleware stuff and
AAA
titles. If you're
studios.
Really hardcore fanboy, that might be a really cool place to check out, especially anything related to Steam.
But, fan person.
I am fan person. I am very reluctant to recommend people going on that specific expo. It's mostly advertising back there. If you're interested in seeing what kind of services there are for very specific related stuff, maybe it's leaderboards or maybe it's advertising or
for your average developer, like you probably won't need most of the stuff that's in that booth. A lot of it's more like geared for executives at a bigger studio. There are some things that like an indie developer could certainly make use of, like tech for leaderboards and stuff like that. So
I think for some reason in there is also the IGF nominees.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah,
that's,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's-
Yeah, they are.
Never made a whole lot.
No,
of
it makes sense. You can play them and stuff. You can hang
Yes,
out.
you can
But
play
why it's in that particular expo?
Oh,
I
I
don't
guess.
know. But
yeah.
they
So everyone
need
can
space
go
for
there.
it. Yeah.
Most people can go there. Also,
So,
they've
yeah.
got the GDC best picks for games too. There's a separate thing than IGF.
Yeah.
It's similar
Yeah.
in idea. Like it's like the best and brightest new games that GDC themselves picks. It's like a best play or something.
Definitely go check out the IGF games. Those are always
Is it? Yeah.
good
Is
to
it
check out.
GDC Play? Whatever it's called. It's something. And yeah, they're there too, which is really cool. So you can see all the new indie games and stuff like that.
I never schedule enough time to actually go
Yeah.
play all the IGF games, so don't make my mistake.
In the career section, in the career building section, there's obviously there's a section of the building where it's devoted just to people walking around and handing out resumes to very specific HR departments for various companies. Last time I went there, I'm like, okay, I am not going there again. So that's my opinion about it, you guys.
I hung out there.
So Astro obviously agrees in my line of thinking here. It feels like a really bad meat fest because these people, dressed very nicely by the way, are standing shoulder to shoulder waiting for their turn to hand out their resume to studios, and these lines are like super long.
I could never ever imagine. I didn't get in any of those lines. I could never.
No, I
imagine,
not
like,
either.
I could never like imagine like going and like. Well, first of all, imagine that they like are gonna like. I don't know, like remember you. And like I don't know, like if your stuff is good enough for you to stand out of like thousands of people all day, every day, going up and like putting your stuff into this recruiter guy at like a desk, essentially, at like a booth, then your stuff's good enough to get noticed online. Like if you're gonna stand out there, I just don't know. I don't know of anybody I know who's ever gotten a job that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like unless they're hiring for like a lot of something, like they need like a lot of programmers all of a sudden.
Because
And, like,
If you're
interviews.
like easily the best artist in the world, kind of caliber, then maybe it's
Yeah, but you don't need
to stand in the line.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. You just send your stuff to them, and they'll like. That's my point. Like if you're good enough to get noticed in those lines, you're good enough to get noticed. Period.
by other
Just
means.
just normally. So I don't know. I just find that to be really strange.
I think
Obviously,
the thing is,
Did you interviews right there? You're saying?
Yeah.
Thing is,
So,
yeah,
I-
Some of the booths do, like
Okay.
not all of them, but
Yeah.
there are definitely some booths where you basically are signing up for a slot to interview then and there, basically.
yeah, which is always nice to have if you could get them.
Yeah.
Because you meet people face to face.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
more chance of people
Yeah.
knowing you. Much
So I
better
guess if
than-
your stuff is decent,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
not-
and
it's
I
not
mean,
bad.
at the very least, you can get some immediate, criticism, constructive
right.
criticism
So
there of like.
I just don't
you
know-
could- You kind of almost consider it a mock interview type of thing.
I just don't know if that's really worth the time
True.
invested in the line. Honestly, when you could be doing a lot more other things to
Yep.
help yourself out. I don't know. That's
I
all.
suppose it depends. Because I'm
What
pretty
was it you
sure.
said?
I'm pretty sure people would have gotten some jobs out of there.
Yeah, I'm sure it happens. I mean, a friend of mine, I lied. I did know somebody who did get one job, but it was like a marketing thing, and it was like,
and now you know another person,
wait,
Yeah.
what?
Jamie.
Jamie got a job at a GDC booth? Did you?
Apparently,
Wait, with,
Yeah. So
with you guys?
it's
Uh,
possible.
He's worked at other places. I don't
Yeah.
know.
yeah. So
Was it? Where was it, Jamie?
Yeah, what was it? Dream Magician.
And that's.
I was going to make
have
a few more
stand
mentions.
at
There are
work.
there are actually business building related talks
Yes.
in the middle there.
Yeah.
It's I don't know why. It's
Oh,
in
I
the
need to
middle
plug in my
because that
computer.
place is really loud. But anyways, they do have those talks in there, and I personally thought they were really valuable information. I liked it. You have actual industry experts talking about this is what you should do. This is what your portfolio should look like. That kind of stuff.
Sorry to interrupt. I just need to plug in my computer.
Oh, where?
Oh, that's what I was wondering. Okay, you're right. We're fine. Keep talking. Keep going.
Oh.
Don't stop because we.
So Jamie says it was in the real time world. Let's see. And then there's that.
Could you help me? Thanks.
And then there's that section of tables where there's sometimes indie games in there as well. It seems to be like a showcase-ish thing, but Brian, do you happen to know what I'm talking about when I speak of this?
The indie showcase?
Because I know that 1P First Playable had a table there earlier.
That's basically a section where indie developers are sharing the games.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
We're switching places so if our voices don't match up, whoever's listening.
So here's a crazy question. Is GDC a great place to find a job?
It's a good place to start the conversation to get a job. Sure. It's not. It's a place that can happen. Clearly, Jamie said that's what happened to him. But it's not a great place to get a job. I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, I would definitely temper your expectation. It's not intended to be a career center, or not career center. It's not intended to be a job.
It's not a job fair. It's not a job fair.
It is a job fair. So, yeah, I'll definitely temper your expectations on that. It doesn't hurt to try.
No, it doesn't hurt to try. But it's again about mitigating like your value over time and how long stuff's going to take. You could. I was saying this earlier. You could. Beat the expo floor and just paper it with your resume and business cards and meet everybody and talk to everybody, waiting all the lines and stuff. But I don't know how valuable that's going to be in the long run. Mm-hmm. And the odds of that happening and panning out into something are still slim. So it's just a matter of like, what do you want to do there?
So what else is there that I've probably forgotten about GDC? I've already mentioned the museum and the game show. Have you guys actually went to one of those? I feel like it's just a fun time waster, in my opinion.
Yeah, honestly, there's stuff going on all the time. There's stuff like random pop-up things that just happen. People just doing stuff.
Yeah,
just hang out. Honestly, it's so nice out there. I'm sorry, I'm super excited.
I was in fact recommended at one point that
that's true. Make it
if you're just walking around in you're in the Expo or Career Building Center and say, "Hey, this is something I made," having conversation between just the participants is actually a pretty darn good idea.
A ton of places to sit and hang out too. There's tables and stuff.
Yeah, especially the people who have only the Expo pass. There is a lot of networking that you can do there. Yeah. We will be talking about that soon.
Yeah.
And also, there's obviously the parties.
Yes.
Well, we'll get to that soon too.
I figured as much.
What else? Oh, shoot. The open table, the open discussion tables. I personally thought there's a few that exist. Then they're very specialized, IGDA.
Tables?
Yeah. IGDA, Indie SIG, open tables, or open source.
Yeah, like the SIG meeting type of things.
SIG.
Yeah,
it's just a room where you can hang out and talk about a certain thing, right?
Yeah. It's actually not a bad place to go to. Most of them will actually write you down for a mailings list.
Yes.
So that you can in fact email everyone when you receive one of those emails.
That is true.
It's actually pretty cool. I know that. It's cool.
I personally thought that it was really cool to check out. I know that I had the emailing list of the open source SIG, and then I discovered Facebook, and then it just kind of didn't matter to me after that.
Okay.
There is something also just in general. The IGDA booth is a really good resource just to hang out at.
Yep.
It's a cool home base, and we love everybody. I'm not just plugging them because they're helping me out this year, but I am I'm helping them out too, but it's this really awesome thing where, the IGDA is all about that. It's inclusivity and trying to help the whole industry. So it's right in the first floor, right when you walk in, it's right there.
Very centrally located.
Yep.
They have phone charging stations.
They have phone charging stations. They got it's just a relaxed
chairs to hang out.
It's just a relaxed vibe. Just hang out there if you need to just recharge. Also, there's a lot of really pretty big developer people come by through there all the time. Because it's a pretty big organization. So if you're just hanging out there, who knows who you might meet. Mm-hmm. And it's a really good it's like I said, a good base, it's a good place to meet people, a good base of operations, good kind of just recharge area, and it's just a really good resource in general. And you can ask them anything. We know anybody working there is volunteer. They kind of know essentially CAs, but they not officially for GDC, they're IGDA, but basically they know kind of the whole setup of what's going on.
The lay of the land.
The lay of the land, yeah. So it's a good thing for beginners to go to, and just sign up for IGDA. So whatever, plug.
So obviously the big one, networking. Mm-hmm. If you're going to GDC, this is the reason why.
This is why you're going. Yep.
Yeah. Is giving business cards enough?
No. Wait. What did you say before? Wait, just giving a business card?
Yes.
Yeah. No. Never enough. And don't do that. I hate when people do. Somebody we were talking before, where everybody's sitting around at the table just talking, hanging out.
Yeah.
Someone comes by and just blankets the table, presents a spread of business cards and leaves. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I throw those away.
Karen's had a really good policy in regards to handing out business cards. You mentioned that you normally give it last.
If I can, I mean, it depends. If you're gonna give it out first, make sure it's like a joke and like you say something like, "Oh, you want to do the business card switcheroo," like or something.
I mean, I usually end up saying that when it comes up awkwardly at the end of conversations too. Like usually I'm talking, having a great time talking to someone, and eventually like, "Oh yeah, we should probably do the business card thing."
I kind of like.
All right, here you go. Here's my card.
I kind of like to do
that. That's not a good way to network, I think.
My business cards are different though too because I'm an artist, so they're all fancy and shiny and have artwork on them. So it's actually it can go in the middle of the conversation, just somewhere, just like, "Oh yeah, I'm an artist. Here, check it out." Here's some of my work right now to show you, like, in front of your face without having to do anything. And so that's another part for me. But again, that's an artist thing to do. But like, it's really fun. But no, it's not just talk to people. That's your the business card is so they can contact you later.
Right. Exactly.
That's all that's for. You have to give them a reason to want to contact you later. Like you can't just, like I said, the people who just like spread business cards on the table like peanut butter and leave. And it's like, well, then it's just like they're stuck. It's like peanut butter. It's just there, and it's like, get away. You don't want it on your table. You just don't want it on your table, and it's annoying. And it's like, and it's just like a weird like. Again, I have no reason to contact this person. In fact, they were rude. Like I'm gonna have, if anything, I'm gonna have a negative connotation of them. Like I'm gonna be like actually here. So business cards. I did something really interesting last year, and I'm gonna be doing it again this year. I don't know. Maybe it was I thought it was interesting.
Is that a secret?
I know I had a collection of 5 business cards, 5 different ones, and I wrote like in the corner a little bit tiny little thing. I kind of gamified it. I wrote a little 1 of 5 or 2 of 5, like 2 out of 5. And so I had a whole set, and you could collect the whole set if you wanted. So it was
catch them all.
Exactly. It was a bunch of different art. Like it's 100. First of all, there was a bunch of different kinds of artwork on there on all my cards, which was cool. So I would actually be able to ask people like. It's like, oh, you have a card? And I'd say, yeah, which one do you want? They'd be able to pull out one of each and be like, here, they could pick their favorite. Or, if you want, you can have them all. I don't care. That was a really expensive thing I had to do, is buy them all.
But you stood out.
Well, I did. People remembered that. People thought that was really cool. And again, like, they could pick their favorites. So like, oh, cool, I want this one, And it was like, and someone else was like, oh, I'll take that one. It's like, oh, we'll trade, because you gotta get all 5. And it's a silly thing, but it's that little bit of extra that just gets people like talking about it.
Yeah, if you have something that like is memorable about your car, that's always great. I remember my very first business cards when I was just a student. I made a little I basically took some old Mega Man sprites and like redrew them so it was like me with the NES Zapper gun. And then later on, I tried to be more serious, made more serious, professional-looking business cards. But at that next conference I was at with those cards, everyone were like, "You were the guy with the little Mega Man dude on your card," and I was just sort of like, "Crap! I need to go bring back my old business cards." Because every single person I talked to who remembered me remembered my little Mega Man guy. On my
I
card,
just thought of something that I hope if someone else listening, they can do it if they want. But I'm going to do this now. I just realized also on top of my art card, I guess I'll put it on the back. The most boring, plain business card ever, and all it says in tiny, a little bit of font on it is "memorable business card," and that's all. That's genius.
And your name.
Oh right, on the back, yeah.
Oh okay.
No, but that's hilarious. I think just stand out business card. That's fine. Anyways,
so what are your networking strategies? Since we already got started on this conversation,
oh boy,
with showing this.
Well, the big one is obvious. Talk to people. But also this is a different one. Talk to people, but also, this is for me really, listen to people. Don't just talk about yourself. Have something that you can also bring up later, and then you learn something about them, and keeps conversations going. Here's a good one though. There's something I learned last year. I found this out at GDC, but I found out because I was already doing it, and someone had a word for it. There's 2 different kinds of people. There's networkers, and then there's connectors. Be a connector. Be the person that. So if I don't have a use for, like I do, but let's pretend I didn't have a use for an audio person and a programmer, right? I do because I make games, obviously, so but like let's pretend I don't have any use for that. Like I have no need for that in my life professionally. However, this person's really cool, and that person's really cool, and I don't need to. But I know this programmer needs a musician, and this musician needs a programmer. Give their card to someone else.
You're like,
ask people for 2 business cards, and they'll be like, "Well, why?" I'm like, "I want to give this to someone I met before. I'm gonna, find them and give it back." So that's huge. Like people, first of all, love that. Second, and they remember that, and also it's just really interesting because then it's like, you're helping them out too, which is really memorable also. But then they'll probably do the same for you.
Yeah.
Like
They're actually fulfilling the net part of
right,
it.
the network,
Yeah.
right. You're not
Exactly.
just networking for yourself and meeting it, me. It's actually helping other people network with other people, which people flip out when you tell them that. They're like, "Well, that's awesome! Thank you! Oh my god!" Like,
Yeah.
you know, or and then if you have their other card right there in front of them, like, "Oh, here, you should talk to this person."
Yeah, that is always a great technique.
It's just a huge thing, and yeah, it's a technique too. Yeah, it's awesome.
The other thing I would just in general too say is you definitely talk to people, and when you talk to people, you shouldn't be talking to them looking for a job. Like
Right.
that's kind of why it's like what we were saying before with GDC is like the place where you set up connections to later like get a job, but like you should be making friends there, and that friendship will hopefully at some point down the line might end up with a thing.
Yep.
Like if you are just talking people clearly being like, so can you hire me? Like that's awkward and weird, and they're not going to like you.
People don't, yeah. And that's it. I mean,
That might be
social-
memorable, but
Right,
Not in a good way.
In a bad way, yeah. And there's another thing. This is also depending. I mean, this is not for everybody. It's not possible for everyone. But like, try and be doing something different or offer them something. I'm not sure how
Right.
to offer them something.
Yeah.
Like right there, if you can afford it, buy them lunch. If you're really like this person, but
I mean, your original tip of helping out others is in and of itself one of those ways.
Right,
of-
exactly.
right, exactly. That's exactly something. Even if it's only just giving someone else a business card or something of someone else, like
Yeah.
that's a huge. Like, have something to offer them. But also, like last year, I was doing a school project, a video school project for a documentary and whatever. It's just for. I had to do it for school, and I was gone for a week in San Francisco. I figured I'll do it at GDC documentary about that. So that was really cool. I won't get into the details of it right now, but. That was really helpful for just meeting really important people because I just literally asked them. I went up to them like,
Hey, can I interview you?
I was like, "Hey, can I interview you for a school thing?" And that was a huge way. It's not only memorable for them, but it's a huge. You get to actually hang out and talk with them privately and whatever. So that was really awesome. I mean, and obviously don't go around lying and saying you have a school project and then just to shoot video of them. Oh, is that recording? No, it's not. It's not. Yes, yeah, it's recording. Don't say that. But maybe if you working on something, maybe start a project, start something like I'm starting I want to write something about you or something or whatever, and see, can I do a quick interview or just talk with you for a bit, and just try it. Also, I mentioned this earlier before the stream. Just tweet at people if you really want to meet a famous person. If you really have to, or for some reason or whatever, and you don't know, just ask them to meet. Ask them where they're going to be and see if you can have time for. And don't be creepy, but just say, hey, do you have 5 minutes to talk? I'm really inspired by your work or something,
I should mention also LinkedIn as well.
LinkedIn,
Yes.
yeah.
Is there any networking techniques that you use, Astra, that might be different?
Yeah, sorry. I'm pretty
Took
good
all my
at
time.
it. Pretty good at it, I think.
I think for introverts, I am an introvert. If you are going with people, with friends, stick with them. They might know other people that you don't.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've had so many people
Fair
at
enough.
First Playable follow me around being like, I don't know, you seem to know people. And it's weird too because
Yeah,
I'm
Brian.
also kind of an introvert. I've just been, doing
been
a lot
doing
of
it for a long
GDCs.
time, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
you're
so
lying.
I've got momentum.
Yeah. Right.
But so like I've had people just glom onto me because they know if they're around me, they'll probably run into someone
Yeah,
interesting.
That's interesting too. It's really interesting because I'm like the opposite. Because I'm just like I'm gonna go on my own. Just go.
Yeah,
it's like weird.
yeah.
Like that's just how I work though.
I think-
also completely agree with Bart WE here, saying don't be a fan around famous people.
Yeah.
Oh god, don't be a
definitely.
fanboy. Yeah, definitely don't be a fanboy.
No.
Fan
We're gonna
person,
go
excuse
over
me.
this later, but there's
Yeah.
honestly speaking, trying to network with famous people is probably not ideal.
It is
If you-
also
if you
very
can-
hard.
Right. I mean, again, I got pretty lucky last year, and I got to meet some really important people that I was really interested in meeting. And they're relatively whatever. And so the point is like, it's doable, but it's also you can't. I mean, I spoke with them as an equal, whether or not I've done anything in the industry yet. I mean, I was talking. You can't fanboy. You can't.
Yeah.
Like it's just silly. They're not gonna talk to you because they're busy. They're professionals. I mean, the thing is, if we're all trying to work in this industry, if this is why you're at GC, if you're you're going to be working with them. You're not going to be like, oh my god, Tim Schafer, like every day at work. Like, it's just silly. You know what I mean? Like it's stupid. So, but yeah, definitely that's a good advice. Just be a person. Be real. Be yourself. Be busy. Don't be.
Also be respectable.
Be respectful. Respect.
Yeah.
This is huge. Actually, I forgot to mention this.
I was gonna throw
respect boundaries.
I was going to throw one more thing here before we go to the next topic.
Yeah.
Usually,
I want to mention that. Okay.
my tip is when you're networking, don't be shy. talk to strangers who also happens to be just standing around.
Just say hi. You're standing around.
If you can be the person to actually
initiate the conversation,
right? Because there's definitely a lot of people. I mean, again, I'm often kind of standing in the corner, being like, "Okay, who should I talk to?" and trying to like psych myself up. If someone comes up and talks to me, I'm like, "Yes," and that saves me that.
And a lot of people are like that, and I've never. This is also going to lead right into what I was going to say about boundaries and respecting. But firstly, I couldn't even tell you. I was at Indicate recently, and I, again, out of privacy and respect, I'm not going to mention names or anything. Also, I think it's weird to name drop. So I met a bunch of people there, and one of the people I met, I literally was like standing there, and I was like, "Oh, that other person is standing around." I just went over to her, and I was like, "Hi." I had no idea who she was. I was just like, "Hi, what are you doing? What's up?" And turns out she's awesome. Anyways, it's just one of those like, well, that's cool. And it wasn't even like planned. It wasn't like, I wasn't just like blanketing the room talking to everybody. It was just like, I picked this, it was just luck. But there's also another part of the day down there. This is really cool. There's a game, I don't know what it's called. I think it's called Awkward Moment. No, it's not called that. It's something else. It's Stranger Danger, that's what it is. This game is great. If it's there at GDC, play it. If not, just try it with your friends or pretend. It's a card game. And it basically tells you to go to, it's a networking card game. You get points and stuff, but you go to the central hub, you get a card, and it tells you to pick a person with a certain attribute, like wearing a bracelet or with long hair or with whatever. And you find a person that matches that, and you ask them the other card question, which is a really awkward, weird question. It's usually like, and you have to guess before you ask them what their answer is going to be. And then it's a really fun, but so just do stuff like that and just have fun with it.
Yeah, there's been so many times I've been like just randomly talking to someone, and then through the course of the conversation, I figure out who they are, and I'm like, oh man, you're that person who did that thing. Like
that's so cool. And also this goes back to also boundaries and respect. This is a really important thing, just in general. Not everybody ever wants to talk to you all the time, always.
Right.
And sometimes they're busy. Don't take it offensively. Do not tweet awful things at them. Don't be mad. Don't be disrespectful. Don't even, and just also leave them alone if they ask you to. Because, they're probably...
If they're not engaging you with a conversation.
99% of the time, they're not trying to be rude. And most of the time, I guarantee they're probably not. They just respect them. Anybody. I don't care who is famous or not. If somebody doesn't want to talk to you, then just don't. Walk away and whatever. Don't worry about it. Because they're busy. You're busy. Everyone's busy.
Also, watch out what you're saying. Because don't say so and so sucks. What game developer sucks?
Right.
This game sucks. Blah blah.
Because
they
probably
might be standing behind you and be like, "What did you say?" So.
Or I'm friends with him, or any number of bad things. Everyone's around, so
everybody's around. You're eventually going to be working with these people if you do it right. So,
don't burn your bridges.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't throw grenades at bridges that you're not even crossed yet. That is just lobbing out words. Yeah.
So next question: who should you network with?
That's a tough one.
Your mom.
As mentioned earlier, famous people,
they're going to be difficult to network with.
The ones that I highly do not recommend.
And they don't hire. They're not the hiring person.
They're not the
hiring person.
Yeah, they're not the hiring person. They're going to more or less. They're going to most likely forget you, or if they remember you, they're going to probably remember you for the wrong reasons.
Yep.
So I do not recommend that. Any sort of lower level fellow indie developers, game developers.
Yeah, network with people at your level. That's good.
Yeah,
I think that's
those are, in my personal opinion, the best people to
network with people. There's two parts to this, two sides to the coin. Network with people. Focus on networking with people in your industry, like art, for example, because that's always good. However, also go outside of that on purpose. Try and find people who do different parts in the game industry because they are going to have insights into things that you don't know, and vice versa, and everything.
Or sometimes you will need those specific contacts for
other reasons.
To be fair, technically speaking, if you're going to GDC and talking to a random stranger, chances are very good they're not going to be in the same field.
Right. You never know. Yeah, most likely they're a programmer. I'm just gonna say that. Most likely they're a game designer or programmer. That's my experience. Every person they met left and right was a programmer.
And
but I guess it's common in general.
I know a lot of professional developers will kind of ignore students to some degree, but also some of them will be super cool with talking to students. And I remember when I was a student, so I try to make time for talking to students, whatever, when I'm there. If people want to talk to me,
I was gonna say, who should you network? Yeah, network with people at your level. I was gonna actually say network with educators if you can find educators. If you can find people who are teachers.
There's a lot of them around.
There's a lot of them around. There's also a lot of them who worked in the industry proper for a long time, and so that's just in general talking with educators about. You can learn so much. They're teachers. That's what they do. So it's just a lot. and they're more approachable too, I'd say, in general, and especially if you are a student, mention it, to an educator. If not, there's another, talk to, ask people ways to network too. This is, I guess, how, but with who? Ask people like what schools they went to and stuff, and see if you can make any kind of connection you can make is good. But yeah, I'd say network with people at your level, around or a little higher, whatever.
Obviously, fan pursing to anyone is always a bad idea.
Yeah, we were saying, don't do that.
Any sort of one easy rule is talk about something non-game related.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe talk about the weather. Maybe talk about. I don't recommend.
Well,
that's actually a good point to bring up.
Yeah.
Most game developers, working in the industry are like trapped under NDA documents, so they legally can't talk about what they're working on. So don't bother asking what they're working on because they can't tell you.
Right.
So a lot of times conversations at GDC get kind of weird because you have to talk around that.
Yeah.
So what can you legally talk about now?
Well, this is why I think it's also this is just good advice in general. We're still back into the how to network. Just be a well-rounded person. Don't just make games always. Games are awesome. I love them. Yes, that's where we're going. But do other stuff. Have hobbies. Have other things you do, and and be able to talk about those and ask people you're networking with about. So what do you do besides games? Because we know we all like games. Yeah. We're there. We're at. It's it's asking. It's like being that guy at the metal concert. Like, hey man, you like this band? Yeah, I'm here. I got the shirt. I don't know. So it's it's kind of obvious at that point, and it's kind of redundant to talk. If you want to talk, I get really into conversations about design and just art and all kinds of, mechanics and how games works and why they're important. All that stuff. That's fine too.
I would give a shout out to the people who created metagame card games.
Yeah.
Because they allow you to play a card game with strangers. And afterwards, if you think that they're kind of cool people, you could talk to them and network with them.
Yeah.
That's always a cool thing.
This was actually going to lead me to my next thing. Who else to network with? Network with everybody in town. San Francisco is a big city with big people in it in general. Hang out. You're going to be hanging out at the hotels. You're going to be hanging out at the bars. You're going to be hanging out getting food.
Yeah.
Network with everybody. People are going to say, hey, what are you in town for? If you tell them you're from outside, I'm here for GDC. What's the hell? They might not be game industry. Who cares? Talk to them. They might be somebody that, maybe they're in production in some other field or some other, maybe they need a programmer too. Maybe they know somebody who works. It's San Francisco. It's a giant city. There's tons of game companies there. Maybe they're friends with somebody who knows a famous person or whatever. The point is, last year I got some pretty cool contacts just at one of the bars hanging out. And it was just I forget, he works with a Boeing or something, but he's he needed something. He needed a business card from me personally. He paid me for it. It's nothing to do with games, nothing to do with anything, but that guy's now a contact. And it's you never know where that could lead. I don't know. Again, it may not. I got paid for it though, so that's something. But more importantly though, that could lead who knows where.
Yeah.
And it's just why not just network with everybody? Network, just talk, be fun.
Yeah, that's a good point.
One person talked about being wasted.
Where is this? I missed it.
In the thread.
Okay, so
totally.
This is something something I'm.
Don't network while you're drunk. I forgot to talk about that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Don't do that. Do not network while you're drunk. You are going to make a butt of yourself.
Here's something that I personally always fail at. What do you do once you get back home?
The thing everyone fails at.
Yeah,
it's always hard.
Definitely, the basic tip on this is if you had contact with someone at that night, email them saying, hey, we met at this so and so location, nice to meet you, this is my email address. So that's one tip that I have heard of. I also heard that there's a website called 500 Plus, so shout out to there, where you can, if you find their LinkedIn profile, you can write reminders to yourself to contact that person using this website. Any other comments?
So
Tweets,
again, tweet.
Yeah, tweets.
Tweet's a good one.
So as I mentioned, there's the whole, writing in the back of the business card thing we were talking about earlier. I will often write down things of what exactly we talked about and what to get back to them about. Yep. So
That's
then later on when I, am...
Because you're going to end up, if you're doing it right, you're going to have it, you should have as many business cards when you come back as you gave out. So as you bought. So just yours are replaced by other people's now. That's if you're doing it right. So you're gonna have a lot. If you brought 500 cards, you're gonna have about 500. Depending on how many you gave out.
By the way, I completely forgot. Yeah, you should bring in a small notebook just in case.
Yes, you'll definitely want a notebook for notes and.
Just in general, just having a notebook is good. You never know what you might need to draw someone a map or something. I don't know. It's
That is
like,
true. That is
or you
true.
might need to draw yourself. It's just good to have a little notebook on you at all times.
I think you also might be able to get a priority set up for people who you contact. Like if you know this, if you talk to this person and you really
Oh, okay. This
Yeah,
is like a personal
like-
system. I have this system. I have in my wallet, which I need to get like a card case. I should do that. I keep forgetting to do that. But I have a pretty thick wallet, and I empty everything out before GDC, so I have room for cards. So again, basically, I fit as many cards as I can in my wallet of my own, and then as I switch them out, I get someone else's card, I give them mine, and so it takes up the same amount of space. But I have two different sections, two different pockets. One is for, oh yeah, you're cool, I like you, that's nice, you know. Hopefully anyone I give cards to doesn't know, or isn't listening, and they don't know which pocket they got put in. But then there's like a definite contact, like absolutely have to, like I need to talk with this person, this is really important for something. And then then there's just the other one, like, oh, this person's cool, I'm going to send them a cordial email at some point.
Yep.
But it's
I would say
priority,
prioritize.
yeah, it's priority, and it's just like, wow, this person's really awesome, and we talked about really cool stuff, and this, I want to keep talking to this person like continuously.
Especially if you like make promises to the person. Hey, I can get you to get in contact with this person, but I have the business card on me right now. I'll email you about it. Those are kind of important to remind yourself that you need.
That's
to
another thing
contact
too.
that person.
I try to do this. I didn't quite work last year. Was it? What?
There's a comment that says it sounds like a meeting on how not to
That's
be awkward.
that's exactly it.
That's exactly what it
that's
is.
don't.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean, if you're
Remember, they're working on a delay, so
right. No, that's fine. No, so
in
what was I gonna
regards
say?
to contacting back a person.
I was gonna say
in regards
do it daily.
Yeah.
Even if you don't, here's the thing too. It's silly because you get back to your hotel wherever you're staying. I did this kind of like in the middle of the day, like when it was slow, nothing's really going on. I would just pop open my phone and just start
tweet
people, email people. But also, it's good to do that so that then they're in your email contact list.
Yeah.
First of all, secondly though, and you can put stars or whatever. You can put them I put them in a folder in my emails, GDC, whatever year it was, and that way I have them separate, so I can just go back there and remember. Also, though, that's kind of good and bad though, because while you're there, they're not really like, you've already done the networking. You've said, hey, what's up, nice to meet you. You kind of have to do it after everyone's. Wait a week after GDC. Give people a week to decompress, because it's a lot. It's a huge. I mean, it's a week long nonstop.
Wait a few days.
Tired, yeah, pretty bad.
Oh god, I need at least a week or two to just even think afterwards, like to do anything. So yeah, definitely give people some time, and then maybe again tweet or send a quick email, but then maybe, hey, I'll get back to you later about this thing. Or that's what I did during the day there, like after or like at night, like before I went out to the party. Like I'd meet people and I would send a little message like, hey, it was really great to meet you today. I'll keep in touch with you after this week. Done.
You're right. Some people.
This is true. No, this is basically saying like, and this is what I was saying earlier before the podcast, or to Philadelphia. I was basically saying like, I don't put too much stress on like getting back to people, like unless it's like super professional contact, it's necessary to do that. That's fine. But if it's just people I'm meeting, I don't. If the universe will make us contact again, I'm gonna want to talk to them. They're gonna be a cool person I want to be friends with. They're gonna want to talk to you. They're gonna respond. It's just gonna happen. Like you're gonna the people kind of glob together who they want to talk to and stuff. Anyway, so
So apologies. I should have mentioned what the actual question was. Philadelphia says, "Why try so much? If you're an interesting person, then you're going to be able to maintain a conversation and meet people."
Right.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's fine. That's fair, and that's true. But at the same time, though, I mean, I think everyone's an interesting person. It's just some people are. I mean, GDC is a high stress and like highly social, interactive part of like the industry, and it's not easy for everyone to do that. Even if they are really talented and interesting, it's not the same socially for everyone. Which
I mean, and also this conversation is more about making sure you're interesting in the right ways, not
Right.
the wrong
Yeah.
one.
right, and so I mean, you shouldn't worry too much about it. No, but
I mean, you can always walk in there without your pants, but that doesn't make you.
No, please
right, don't. Yeah, I mean, but it's an interesting thing. Like be interesting and have fun. And I mean, that's kind of what I rely on. I have nice business cards, and but at the same time, though, it's like you can do those things, and you can also be professional at the same time. And it's not like trying too hard. It's just a matter of like just having all your stuff together, and being prepared and just ready, because you never know. Like you don't just want to don't rely completely on just yeah, man, I'm cool. I got this. You know, which I almost do too much of.
Yeah, my take on that question is,
yeah.
I mean, yes, most networking, you shouldn't be trying too hard. It's mostly just hanging out and making friends with people. We were specifically talking here about the the follow-up of, keeping back in touch with people. And I still think there's, you have to put in effort for that just because you are meeting so many people in such an intense period of time.
Oh my God, it's like, you're going to miss people. Even people you do like and want to talk to, and you're like, oh crap, I need... Yeah, There's just it's constant barrage of cool people. It's like, oh man, you were awesome, wow, And of course,
it's absolutely awesome and amazing to go to GDC. So I highly recommend it to anyone who's been even considering. The tickets are probably all out by now.
No, but if you can't, I mean, this thing. We'll get to that when we talk about the parties. I have something to say about the price. And
I actually do not think I have a slide.
Yeah, you don't have a slide for parties. I noticed that.
Interesting.
Because I have plenty to say about parties too.
Yeah, so we'll backtrack then.
So let's go to closing comments and
any other advice? We'll put parties in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we'll just have an after party section. Okay.
Well, okay, yeah, let's do that right now.
So there's a couple things I want to present this conversation with at first. Is the parties are great, whatever. I like to party, period. But the thing is, I'm kind of a little mixed feelings about the idea of everybody puts so much emphasis on these parties, whether they're big companies or whatever, it doesn't matter. Everybody puts so much emphasis on these, to the point that there's an organization that founded, which I'm actually helping out with this year, but it's the Fellowship of GDC Parties, and it's this whole thing. It's this whole thing, right? And it's interesting, and at the same time, and even industry people will tell you, go to the parties, meet people, whatever. First of all,
okay, go on.
I just want to say that I kind of have mixed feelings about, no, not really mixed. I don't really like the idea that the industry kind of expects you to be able to party or should party in order to meet people or make it in the industry. I don't like that because it's very ableist. There's a lot of people who can't. I'm serious. There's a lot of people who can't drink or shouldn't or and it's very frat boy kind of mentality of being able maybe there's people with families. There's a lot of people who don't want to or can't go out that late or don't want to, and it's just it's a very silly thing to. It's just another way the industry I think likes to gatekeep. And to have only certain types of people fit in to that culture, and I just don't like that idea of it. However, I do like the party, so
that's me. Mention to be fair, I do consider parties to be another extension of those open table kind of things.
That's fair. It depends on the party too.
There's I think it's called GDC, where there's a gay gamer. Parties.
Yep.
There are.
No, yeah, totally. And there's all kind, and there's a wiki party which I'm going to, the Women in Games International, whatever.
There's a Ludendare party that I totally skipped over.
So. Those are more extensions of group roundtable discussions with booze, which is fine, which is totally fine. I just wanted to put that out there as a thing to say in general.
I mean, Ashley, were you thinking about? Were you going to mention anything about parties by chance? Because I just noticed you had some. It looked like you wanted.
We're about to interject.
No.
Okay.
So,
on my end, well, first of all, too, if you are a person who doesn't like to drink or whatever, other opportunities, another thing that is going on during every night as well. In addition to the parties, there's lots of other people joining up for dinner or just later on at night. People hang out in the lobbies of all of the hotels in the area.
Hang out in hotels,
you can just hang out and talk to people there and I know a lot of game developers who don't drink, and a lot of the big name famous people too, me.
Well, big name famous people, Taro, yeah, totally.
But who don't drink at GDC, so you'll be perfectly fine. Don't worry about it.
And also, I mean, you can also go to the bar if you don't like. I'm just talking about certain bar atmospheres, certain parties also.
Yeah. There's some parties that are much more conversational and great, and but definitely there's a lot of GDC parties that I don't like to go to. As much as I like to party, I'm there to meet people and talk and that sort of thing, and you go into the party and it's just this loud dance club environment, and that's just you can't actually talk to anyone over the music, so I'm what's the point
Jamie's
of this?
Right too is don't just relax.
Don't go into GDC fever.
Magic mode.
It's worth noting that
I mean I survived, but that's me. Context
is critical when it comes to parties. It is not a location to become all these stirs. Super professional moments. That's what GDC.
Yeah.
If you're going to a party, you're there to
have fun. Have a good time. Yeah.
Maybe some people are willing to exchange business cards, but I personally don't think that's actually a really good place to do.
I've done it. I do it all the time. I mean, it's just the same as networking with anyone. But I mean, that's
true.
It just if it happens, and it happens. That's not your goal. There's I mean,
personally hate
know your
loud
limit.
stuff.
Oh my god, no, just if you're
be that guy
drink,
who's
don't be
way
the
too
drunk
drunk.
guy. Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
It's not.
There
good.
was that one Japanese person who was like stuck with the security guard. Well, no, excuse me, the bouncer, because they keep throwing him out because he was
Wow.
no, he was
hammered. He was hammered.
really
Yeah.
drunk.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I got
couldn't
pretty drunk
even-
last year a lot, but I didn't. You know, you gotta know. Like, there was a few times when I was like, "Oh, I gotta go. Like, I'm gonna fall over," and this is not. I don't want people to see that. So it's just a matter of yeah. Like
So
Jamie
ju-
said, pace yourself. Keep
Yeah.
yourself healthy. Bring emergency. We discussed this. I forgot to mention this.
Oh, yeah.
Bring or buy some whatever. It's the powder vitamin C stuff. It's like 1,000% vitamin C. You need drink 5 of them a day.
I know a
You'll
lot of
never
people
overdose.
who like
fine.
it's part of what they do to GDC is just bring like hand sanitizer
Hand
around them all the time.
sanitizer. They have them on your keychain now.
Because you're gonna be shaking hands like a million
You're
times
going to
a
be
day.
playing card games like
Oh, yeah,
me and
card
Brian's
games,
card game Doodle Fail plug.
Oh, plug
well, yeah, it's card games. People what do they do with cards? They touch them with their hands, and then you touch them with your hands, and then you touch
all
your
the
tablet.
business card exchanges, yeah. So
then,
like,
then you touch your phone, then you touch your face with your phone, then you're sick. Yeah. Also, I learned, this is me. Maybe I don't know how many other people would help. If you talk a lot and talk fast, like I do.
they're not going to be able to follow you.
No. That's also I need to slow down. That's true. I was gonna say just pace yourself. Your voice goes day 2, like just from it's loud at parties.
Oh
you're
yeah,
gonna be
bring
talking
a lot
loud.
of water.
You bring a lot of water. Bring
Yeah.
lemon tea and honey to make for yourself wherever you're staying. I'm serious. Like this is like not
Yeah.
a joke. Like bring lemon
That
and
is
tea
true.
and honey, or buy some when you're there, and just have it on hand for when you need. Like even to bring a water bottle. So
I've known people who were speaking at GDC who lost their voice at
Before
parties
their talk,
before
yeah.
their talk.
And it's awful, yeah.
Yeah.
So you really, it's funny. It's interesting. You don't think about it too much, like. But I never do. I mean, I rarely think about how much I talk too much. But clearly, but it's right. It's an interesting thing though. Is like you kind of have to protect your voice, like because it's what you have. That's your communication with everyone else there. That's what you're doing. You're networking. You're talking. You're doing this. If you can't do that thing, you're kind of screwed. Then you're that guy putting your peanut butter cards all over the table. And I like that image. I'm sorry. And so then you can't really talk to anybody, and it's really frustrating to be in a party and your voice is going. Mine's going right now, I think. So.
Hello, my name is so and so.
Right. No. It's just people can't hear you.
Yeah.
You're in a bar. You're even during the day. It's just it sucks.
Yeah.
So and it hurts and it's annoying and
It is.
you feel like crap.
It does.
You're basically defeating the whole purpose of going if you can't talk. So. I mean, not to say that people who actually can't talk are
This
losing
is
out,
nicely
you know.
too. Any other advice? One thing I wanted to mention: Tenderloin. Don't go there.
What is Tenderloin?
What is it?
Or I believe there's a segment of San Francisco where it's like really, 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 really bad.
Is it?
Mugging can happen.
It's a big
especially
city. It's a
if
big
you're-
city. Be careful.
Yeah, if you're
I mean,
going out
that's-
to like parties and that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
I've been advised to
Just
go
be
with
in a-
more than one people.
Go.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Be
don't
in-
do this because I'm an idiot. However, I do bring either cab money or whatever. Make sure you can get it somewhere without walking at late at night. That's all. Just if you're gonna go out by yourself, make sure you have a way back without walking by yourself. That's all I'm saying. Also, other advice: get the Lyft app. LYFT. Do it. It's freaking amazing. If you need to get anywhere fast and you don't want to use public transportation, it's a little expensive. It's around the same as a cab, like pretty much exactly the same, if not cheaper. And they're faster and better than cabs because it's just awesome.
Uber is also the other one. That's
Uber's a
regularly
bunch of jerks,
recommended.
but yeah,
Uber's
I
nice.
support Lyft. But that's just me. But yeah, same thing. Get the app and get it, and it's you can get anywhere. And Lyft it started in San Francisco, so there's a ton of them. They are literally everywhere. You can just pop in your app, hit yes, pick me up, and then they'll be there in a minute, and you'll be able to go anywhere you need to. It's like $20 depending on how far you're going.
I mean, the thing is, if you're gonna do that, many other people would probably do that as well. So just have a backup plan, I guess.
Yes, no, exactly. Always have a backup, and that's kind of just in general safety. General big city safety definitely. Just don't be drunk walking around by yourself in the middle of nowhere.
This is going to sound super obvious. Here's one apparently somehow forgotten advice. That
Shower?
is obvious. Yes, shower.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's what.
I did mention earlier dress clean, so yes.
Yeah, no, but yeah, definitely.
Shower,
Definitely. it feels good. It feels good in the morning after a night of partying. It feels good.
And also, again, you're making impressions with people and talking to people.
Brush your teeth, shower. Yeah, I have bad breath.
Smell, it is over. It is absolutely over. So yes, shower.
I have a bad breath issue myself. Like no matter how much I brush my teeth, and this is actually, I'm just gonna put this on the internet right now. Bad breath, stinky feet, and stinky armpits, and I can't do anything about it. It's just natural. It's how my body is. So I have to mitigate this. I have to get like shoe spray and stuff, and all that. I have to use extra strength deodorant and stuff, and I have to have breast strips on me all the time. No matter how good my hygiene is, which is not the best, but no matter how good it is, it's never good enough for that. So I have to like constantly. So just be aware of that, and because like. If you're talking to somebody and your breath stinks, they're gonna think that and who knows? If you were out partying the night before, they're gonna think you're drunk, even though everyone's drinking. It's still just you don't want to smell like booze the next day. Before noon, don't drink before noon either.
Another random note: San Francisco has some awesome restaurants.
Oh my God! Go eat all the food. This is the other place. This is. Oh God! San Francisco is the best place in the world to eat.
Speaking of food, when you are there with the GDC people, a lot of places are gonna get crowded.
Yes,
so you have to be able to plan when you want to.
That's true.
When you want to go to lunch.
What I did a lot of times, I would walk like with somebody, but during the day it's fine. Just like a few 3, 4, 5 blocks away from GDC proper, and it's fine. Restaurants are normal.
Yeah.
Normal, like which is really nice actually too, because it's quiet. There's it's far away. There's so many places to eat there, and it's so good. Oh my God, I can't wait.
There's also a lot of conveniences around there, so band-aids, those kind of stuff. Yep. So always bring a lot of cash on you.
Not too much cash, I would say,
because you use that
you might lose it, but
you might lose it.
There's that.
I mean, you got debit cards. Yeah, but there are food trucks and stuff, but a lot of them take cards now too. So
they do say that for specifically the CA website, they recommend that.
What?
Anyways, so they do recommend that.
Turn off your phone for a podcast or anything.
Yeah, I know. It's horrible. They do recommend that you have separate wallets per se. What they mean by that is one is with the cash and the other with the credit cards and your.
So you don't lose everything.
So when they mug you're like, here, take the wallet, and they take only a few dollars away from you.
It's a dummy wallet. Yeah. It's a thing.
So make sure you have a dummy wallet. I'm gonna go back and.
I've actually never had a problem with that. I mean, that's just be rare, obviously in general. But I kind of. Hardly ever carry cash on me in general, which is probably bad, but when I'm traveling I do. So just be careful with it really, and keep an eye on your stuff. And I feel like if you're right in the downtown area there, like next to the Moscone Center proper, the whole area there, it's totally safe. I feel like there's
a few blocks to the
the Moscone is
southwest, I believe, are the kind of sketchy area.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Oh, also Blue Bottle.
What?
Coffee place.
Death Star Bar I was going to mention. It's the bar on the top of what is Hyatt?
Marriott.
It's the Marriott. The Marriott. It's right a block away from the Moscone Center.
Yeah, there's a lot of well-known sort of hang-out places and food places.
Everybody hangs out there. It's awesome looking, anyways. It's just I know I'm going to be there playing our card game, but it's just a fun for me. That's my go-to bar when I'm not doing anything else at the moment at night, waiting for a party or who knows. That's where I'll be there if not somewhere else, waiting for other things.
Finally, Q&A. It's taken quite a long
time
here. I have a question for you guys, and I
for
lost
me?
it.
Because your phone call?
I'll get back to it.
Well, if anyone...
Oh, yes, I remember now.
Stream has any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, if any chatters...
We've already been taking a couple of questions from there, so...
Yeah. If you have any questions...
What was your question?
Time to do it. My question is that, let's say you're an indie developer or a student or whatever. Mm-hmm. Is there a good location or time to kind of just show off your game?
There is a thing, a specific hall now. I forget. It's official. You just go and set up. I forget what it's called though. I should find out.
Really?
Yeah, it's just like a wing or a part of somewhere where it basically there's how they have coffee and water. Just hanging out there, so yeah, it's like that. But it's okay. but there's just a thing where they have tables there already. Meant for and there's power cords and stuff. You just bring your stuff, set up a little. It's basically a little game showcase thing, and people could just go. It's just all prototype stuff. That's what it was. It was the I forget what it's called. It's the isn't it the thing that Ian Schreiber was talking about, the prototype?
Well, there's a prototype night.
That's what it is, right? No, but
That's
there's
not
a thing.
at
There's
GDC
a,
itself.
I see. No, there's a
Exactly.
thing. There's a thing like that all week.
Yeah.
That's it's just like an area where you can just kind of go. You don't have to pay. It's not like obviously it's not going to be if you have like a big shebang banner and all. If you have all that,
you don't have a booth.
Right, you don't have right. If it's not for people who can't afford a booth and just want to go and cheat. It's for indie people just to show off stuff and play around and meet other people. Which is I forget what it's called. I wish I knew, but it's somewhere there. I honestly, you probably could ask somebody there and find it.
So short answer, yes.
Yes. And also, if you got indie stuff, and I mean, depending on what your game is,
Yeah, there's no reason
just
why
bring
you
it
should
with
show
you
off
always.
stuff.
Yeah, have it with you all the time. I mean, there's tons of places just to hey, you want to see something cool?
I can tell you that as a one game a month indie developer, regardless of what state your game is in, it's worth showing.
Absolutely. As long as it's playable a little bit.
Like some videos of the games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even a video. Of the
You'll
game.
be at
mobile?
GDC
Yeah.
where everyone's used to seeing, well, for the most part, everyone is used to seeing games
In
in various
development.
states of
Yeah,
development,
they
so
know
they'll
it's-
understand and be able to give you good feedback. So.
To be honest, the only state that I'm really wary is actually, I would argue, is probably not a good time to talk about is idea state and you
Right.
go game design state. But
Yeah,
if you have
if you've
something,
got
that
something-
is playable,
Yeah.
or you even have concept art or screenshot,
That is
you
a
have
good thing.
something to show.
Yeah, if you're just
Do it.
If you just if you're just talking about something, that's dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool.
Because everyone has an idea for a game, generally
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah.
So no one cares about your game idea. But if you actually have a playable demo of something to show, sure. If they're interested to see it,
Yeah.
Yeah, have it.
I shouldn't. Jamie asked, do you have any pointers on how to attend GDC to make it more affordable?
Make friends in San Francisco. Not kidding.
So his
But
point is basically get friends and make sure you can.
we need to change the
Crash
industry
at
to
their
make
place.
sure that it's more accessible in general. This is a huge thing. But no,
Yeah,
those are the lofty
actually.
things. The best way, I think, honestly, I know the talks are really great and everything, but get an expo pass, honestly, like, I don't think, I didn't feel like I missed anything when last year I had expo pass. Like, I felt it was the most fantastic. I met tons and tons of people, on every level of developer. The main pass is cool and stuff, yeah, but I feel like if you're there and you want to learn, that's good. There's other ways to learn things about the industry, and you can learn from people. Again, these people aren't like the people at the talks, the big talks, and aren't like at some gated community and like walled off from the rest of GDC. Like they're gonna be there if you really want to talk to them, or talk to other people that that went to the talk. There's other ways to do it. And the only thing I guess you're missing is the talks in that sense. But everything else, there's so much more to GDC than just the talks. That I think you get. I felt I got tons and tons and tons of value out of my 175 pass or whatever the expo pass was. I felt like I didn't have enough time to do everything anyways, and so paying another $2,000 for or whatever for those other talks I couldn't even make time for is like it's just not worth it for me. So that's my biggest thing. Is
my
just
only
get
good
the expo
set
pass.
of tips is book stuff very early.
That too.
yep.
Yeah.
The later you do.
And
Yep.
also, you can try volunteering. There's
Yes,
volunteering
that's,
for
I was gonna
IGDA,
say,
there's
that's why I was
volunteering
even
for
able to
CA.
go at all last year.
Right.
Even whatsoever was because I was an IGDA volunteer, which actually made the expo pass I did get covered. So that's why I didn't actually have to pay even the 175. They don't cover much of else, but they do. I mean, again, they give you like it's just a really good place to meet and network. I think, being a volunteer just in general, as far as advice goes, do that.
Yeah,
If
the
you're gonna go to
IGDA
any-
has volunteers.
IGDA,
There's
CA.
the conference associates, the
The CA
CAs.
is a little more difficult to get into, I think. I mean, there's a lot less IGDA room, so it's like doesn't one
CA
take
where the swarm of people go in.
Right, no, but I mean, there's a ton of them, so there's a lot more spaces. So I feel like they're exactly the same, proportionally competitive. There's more CA, but it's hard to do. But IGDA is easier, but there's less room.
Another opportunity, if you're still a student, is to try to go for the scholarship as well.
Yeah, go for the actual scholarship through IGDA. Yeah, that's
There's
also that's pretty
IAs,
difficult too.
International ambassadors, which
Yeah.
also are another version of scholarship if you happen to be an international person.
Yeah.
So
But just I like that advice a lot. Just volunteers is a really good way to make things less expensive. There's also stay at a hostel is a huge one. I don't know if
Yeah,
anybody's.
that's
I mean,
a popular option.
people don't like. People are scared of them. I don't know why. I mean, it's not because of the movie, because people have always been scared of them. We're in America. It's fine. We're not going to get scared of Americans. But it's they're awesome. I stayed in one in Seattle for a week. It's fantastic. You get to meet people, and most likely there'll be other people. And you basically stay with more than one person to a room. Is why it's like cheaper. And you only get a bed. That's it. Not in a shared bathroom in the building. It's really awesome. They're really cool. They have kitchens. They're actually better than hotels, I think, for expensive or less expensive. But also, like there's like a full kitchen in every hostel I've ever stayed in. There's like a full giant actual kitchen with all the stuff you could ever need to cook anything in a fridge and everything. So it's better than a hotel in that sense because you can bring actual food and make stuff. And like I did that in Seattle for my friend's wedding, and it was awesome. And I want to actually try it one of these years for GDC, just as a networking thing, because there are going to be tons of people in that hostel who are there for GDC who you can make a giant meal for if you want and have everybody eat together. I don't know, it'd be a fun thing. But yeah, another way to make it less expensive: bring snacks, bring food. If you really want to.
Actually, a good point. You're going to get hungry.
Bring food, bring water, bring it. I mean, it's going to be annoying to have to. I mean, buy stuff at if you're staying at a hotel, it's going to be less easy to cook. But buy microwave stuff, it's going to suck. But be as healthy as you can. But
don't spend too much money on booze.
Yeah.
Well, that's the only reason I bring money at all. No.
There was one more thing I was going to mention. There's honestly no reason if you booked a hotel close enough, which is very much likely if you went through the GDC website and searched for a hotel. There is, as far as I can tell, no reason to rent a car at all. Yeah. So don't bother.
Oh, people rent cars at GDC?
Huh?
I would
have. Rent cars?
I don't know. Maybe.
Where's even the park?
And especially if you're flying from this into the International San Francisco Airport, there's a train that goes directly to it.
I was going to talk about that next. The BART system, as far as transportation.
Price.
No, we didn't actually talk about that as just in general about San Francisco. The BART system is actually really good. Public transit. It's actually the cleanest in the country. It's coming from New York City sometimes.
What?
It's one of the cleanest.
No, it isn't.
No, it is though. That's the sad part. That's the sad part with how dirty basically your only other comparison for public transit as far as trains go is New York City. And they're
Boston.
Boston is still but those are both disgusting and filthy.
And Washington,
which is fine. New York City, I love New York City subways. Believe me, I love it. I love how grimy they are. They're amazing. It's like so rich in character and full of life. I love it. Bacteria mostly, but they're awesome. I was just there for indicators. I love the subways. There's just so much grit and real raw iron, and I love it. That's just me. So, anyways, the ones in San Francisco are clean though. They're like the monorail Disney.
Right. They're not.
No, it's $2. It's $2 a ride. It's great. You get a card for $10.
It's actually now.
Did it go up?
Bucks.
No, it's $10 for a card for whatever.
Right? From the San Francisco International Airport.
Oh, it's like $7 for the
Moscone.
For that one trip. For that one trip, right? No, I'm saying it's $2 for anywhere in the city.
I see.
Like it's like a normal fare is $2. So it's like super inexpensive to travel. So don't rent a car. That's silly. But the BART does stop at midnight.
Something like that. It does end late, so you might have to account for.
So if you're going to be partying, make sure you get a cab or a Lyft or something, don't walk by yourself. But saving money.
I'll definitely pack lightly too.
Yeah.
You want to make sure.
Don't carry all your stuff with you all day. You're going to kill yourself.
That's
unfortunately, I'm going to have to figure out how to mitigate this because I'm going to be doing all the camera work. So I'm going to have my camera in my bag. My stuff, I don't know, maybe I'll just bring my tablet with me.
Anyway, also,
see, I totally do carry my stuff with me all day. I always pack, my bag is 50% board games, and I just have them around to play spontaneous board games with people at a time.
We're going to have our game.
That's just Brian.
That's just Brian,
I am a person who, gets up stupid early in the morning every day at GDC to go play, a morning board game group with people. Like a ritual, so I get up the same time CAs do. And
I'm gonna have to get up anyway super early because I'm gonna see. Here's the thing. This year for me. Oh wait, we'll finish up closing stuff.
Any other questions that you guys have that you might want to ask each other?
Of course, we have to wait for the stream to catch up with where we are in the future.
They'll be here soon, Brian. They'll be here soon. Also making it more affordable. Go to Lost Levels. Don't even get a pass. Just go to San Francisco for the week at GDC. I know a lot of people who've done that, and just hang out near it. GDC is not in the building. It is, but it's the whole city. San Francisco becomes GDC. The downtown area is
at least the area around the Moscone.
Right. The Moscone. Right.
You could easily just meet all sorts of interesting people just on the street, in between the two.
In between the two buildings, exactly.
North,
it's a little warm out. Yeah, bring water. It's hot. It's nice.
Yeah, I
beautiful.
highly recommend bringing water.
Yeah,
I
guess.
they also have a lot of stations where you can just pour water in there too.
Yep.
If memory serves correct. So
Are we on the final thoughts section? Or
Yeah,
we're
this is
waiting
the
for questions.
slide.
QA, yeah.
Yeah.
He posted up some tiny subversions.
Oh, you want to open that? I guess?
Yep. That is an awesome resource.
Okay.
Darius Kazemi's Effective Networking in the Game
I
Industry
got it. I'm
article is
pulling it up right now.
basically a giant list of kind of everything we've been talking about. So totally, if you're planning on going to GDC, or actually if just in general you're interested in the game industry and trying to break your way in, this list is amazing.
Oh wow, it's long. Good.
It's very long. It'll take you a while, but it's don't be this guy.
Wait, where's that say? I want to read. This is great.
At the bottom, yeah.
Right. What is it?
When Nuts Network.
Darius is a cool guy.
This is, I should write something like this. I've only been 1 year, but I'm pretty good at this stuff. I shouldn't be a him, yeah, but I feel like I've done all right with networking, just in general. But I guess that comes from my personality, so I could give advice how to be me. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Don't be me.
Wait, is
So
this?
he's talking about how awesome his business card is, basically.
Oh, is it that guy with this specially made metal card?
No. No.
Is that it? No. Okay, never mind.
No,
My
he had
business cards are awesome.
the drawing of him. But I know his business card.
Oh, I want to watch this.
No, never
Yeah,
mind.
well, we're gonna.
Oh, that video. Yeah.
This looks really
Sorry,
funny.
I was.
So
Yes,
obviously,
that is totally that
check his site out. It is absolutely freaking.
Oh my god, this
Yeah.
guy looks really funny. Can I watch this? Or
No.
should we wait till after?
No, wait till after.
Okay.
So I'll go for 5 more minutes. It's 9:14 right now. So at 9:19 we'll cut off the stream.
Any other things that we want to address from Darius Kazemi's site or tips? I think that's what Jamie was.
Oh,
Yeah.
First of all, I think all of the things he was specifically talking about that are very his GDC guide were during the period of time where GDC was actually in a different city. So he kind of in the article says this is a little out of date, but
It's interesting. This stuff is all. Well, we
keep that in mind.
I think Jimmy also wanted us to go through introduction, whatever. Early advice, taking notes, make yourself memorable. Your fellow noobs, weak ties, know everyone, be educated. Profile. I want to read all this. This is stuff I feel like I know.
Most of these points we've already covered. Actually, we didn't talk about
Very seriously,
the
good
be
website.
educated one. That's definitely a good point.
What does he mean by? Be aware of the industry. What's happening.
It's basically have your stuff together before you go.
Right.
If you don't a term QA, that stands for quality assurance.
Right.
Know that.
Right. I see what you mean. So yeah, be right. So don't just jump in thinking you're gonna get I like video games. I'm gonna go work.
Right.
Yeah. You got to know some stuff. Be aware of. This is also just good advice in general. Be aware of certain social things happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And don't be a jerk. And so don't be. Yeah.
Try to talk about it more respectfully.
But I also think talking about it is important. I think that might be a good thing for us not to just pretend it's not a thing.
And be educated also ties into the whole having a resume and a portfolio ready already. You should already be a person. If you're looking for a job, you should be ready to have a job.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely worth noting that the location is no booth-based allowed location. So this is the kind of people that we're talking about. We're talking about people who are clearly more concerned with their own with the game industry public images and so forth. So, you want to make sure you don't want to be.
Focus on new.
Expo Zero.
Yeah,
Community service,
Jamie
yeah.
says, last plug on Lost Levels, there's SEO for tech demos and other related things on the expo hall floor. Are there lines, time tickets, or something similar that I should know about ahead of time? Tech demos do appear lines, depending on which booth you're going to, yes, sometimes no.
Yeah, some talks will also have lines as well. A lot of them.
Yeah, if you're going to a talk and there's a line, typically I found that you actually do make it regardless of how long it is, with very few exceptions.
I need to get on the list for the week.
But in regards to tech demos, like those on the expo floor, you usually get to it pretty quickly. There's not that much of a line.
I think last year I went to Sony just announced.
Oh yes, the
Project
Sony
Morpheus.
one with
That was
Project
pretty
Morpheus.
interesting.
That one
That
is
was
really long.
one of the 4 or 5 GDCs they attended to that has something major like that. And then there's also the Steam machine and controller.
Yeah.
They showed it off there.
That was
kind
not
of
a
rare.
very long line though when I checked it out.
No, I didn't. I gotta play with it. So
I am going to say,
GDC
as
one
mentioned
indoors.
earlier, when you're going to the expo,
Yeah,
it's
take
kind
a
of like all tech demos and advertising.
Yeah.
So ultimately, if you're going there for networking reasons, which I don't see any reason why you wouldn't, it's not exactly the most ideal location to
Yeah.
wait in line
Yep.
and, in my opinion, waste your time on something that you think it would be cool when you could be out doing other things, like talking to people and making yourself be known and so forth. But that is definitely a good question. As far as I can tell,
What about
lines
time
are
tickets?
not exactly a big issue per se. When you
Some of the parties will also have lines too.
Yep.
yes.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It is
Oh, yeah.
nothing like a convention where long lines means you're going to be wasting your time sitting there in a line for hours and hours on end, and may or may not be able to make it to the talk you thought about. I have not had that issue.
Time tickets for tech. Is there? Do they give tickets to people who wants to
No.
go? Wait, do they?
No. No, that's
They did.
Oh, for what?
What is the Oculus?
The Wiggy part?
no, you
No,
did-
Oculus Rift.
That's I'm totally on something else.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They did. They did give tickets for that.
I see.
So.
So it does sometimes happen.
Sometimes it does happen, I guess. Yeah.
I have never experienced that myself when I went there last year.
Okay.
And like I've been sitting down in really long lines, I still made it just fine. And there was significant, they had a lot of space in there. There was like a long line after me, and even I swear, all of them.
Did they give tickets? Maybe I was wrong. I
They
don't
go through this very quickly too. Make sure you have. Oh, there's also one other thing. Make sure you have the right pass when you're going into other talks and that kind of stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
there are going to be people there that are going to like say, no, you can't come in here. You don't have the right pass.
Yes.
But spare the time.
Then you
spare
punch
the
him and
embarrassment.
run over him and go in anyways. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
Don't
Yeah, PAX East is a totally different beast.
Yeah,
compared
PAX
to
East.
That's also not an industry.
No,
event.
Right. So there's
That's-
just
that's
a lot more
con.
people at PAX East. Yeah. So
GDC is.
Well, it's about the same
nothing.
actually.
this might be
Because
true.
it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
bigger,
yeah.
but GDC's bigger room, more space, so it seems like less.
GDC is also different for its purposes.
Yeah, no, I was
Yeah.
just saying, yeah, no. Well, GDC's industry,
Right.
and
I
PAX
mean,
is
one
just
person
fun.
asked here, how does this have to do with game development? If you're going to GDC, it is precisely because you're looking for help, tips on game development.
Or you
Yeah.
want to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all very game development related. It is nothing like going to, say, PAX East
Right.
and having fun there because I understand the appeal to PAX East and that kind of stuff, and actually I personally
Oh, I
want
love
to go
PAX.
myself.
Oh, I don't.
But
I have my
you're
issues
not
with it.
going
Actually,
there for game development reasons.
Right.
sometimes,
Yeah.
but yeah. I
Well,
mean,
okay,
I go
fine
for
with
both.
booths, but
Right.
And similarly, if you're just sort of a game fan, but you're not really a developer, there's not really much of a
Don't
reason to
go
go
to
to
GDC, yeah.
don't go to GDC.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be all industry stuff,
yeah.
which should be interesting if you really like it. But,
Right. If you're planning on getting into the industry, great. That's a perfect place for you to go. But if you're just like, I like video games,
Go to E3 or something.
yeah, E3 or PAX or something that's geared for gamers, not game developers.
Yep.
Okay, I'm about to cut off the stream since it's now 9:21. But if there's any questions right now will be a good time to do it. I'll give about a minute or two because of the stream
lag,
delay.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Jamie on the Darius Kazemi's blog about effective networking. It's
I thought of actually
resource.
mentioning it earlier, but because
Mhm.
I figured we sort of, to some degree, undermine, but it definitely easily supports everything we're saying. But yeah, it's totally fantastic. If you want more information, that is like the Bible of game networking stuff and things to do at GDC. And yeah, it's
So, for the purpose of YouTube recording, the URL is tinysubversions.com/effective-networking. I'll repeat that again, tinysubversions.com/effective-networking.
Oh my God, these are great.
Networking. All lowercase, no spaces, one word. The shebang. I'm gonna wait one more minute.
time's a ticking.
Oh my God, Brian, you're going to help me make up these. My friend just did this. I want to copy her. These are the back of her business cards. There's tons of different ones. They say
Looking
you.
at Morgan's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She said, you have cool hair. I like your shoes. There's just a ton of different ones. That's lovely. I want that.
I remember commenting on her, and she liked it a lot. I said that does not belong on a business card.
Sure
That
it
belongs
does.
in the museum.
Oh.
No, I mean that was a joke.
Yeah, I gotcha. I'm actually gonna order my Moo cards tonight because I just had to finish up some stuff.
All right, I'm going to be cutting off the stream in a few minutes. Any last words you guys have?
Oh, yeah, it's not
Go to GDC, have fun, don't stress. It's just have fun.
calm down.
Just chill. Yeah, calm down. No.
Well, don't
'Cause
calm
it's-
down too much, such that you
No, because
become this poor person.
you're gonna be hyped up. You're gonna be busy. You're gonna be. It's awesome. It's incredible. It's fantastic. It's inspiring. It's creative. It's amazing. It's fantastic. It's all these things again. Words again.
Adjectives.
Just be yourself. Have fun. And I will fight for diversity in the industry. Well, the whole time you're there.
That
That's
seems
all.
to be a very big theme going on.
Well, it's a
this
big
year.
thing in the real world, yeah. So
It is.
I think call out stuff. If you feel comfortable calling out stuff that you see it's bad, say something
Any
respectfully.
other
but,
comments from
yeah,
Brian
that's a good
and
thing.
Astra?
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for chatting.
I personally
thanks,
back
Jim.
up everything that Terrence has said. It is an industry-wide event, and you want to make sure that when you're going in there that you don't leave any sort of bad impressions, which to be